there's two type of prospects, like the quick, direct approach, which is like, I go to Jamba Juice, right? I go to Jamba Juice to get a juice, like a smoothie. I say, hey, just out of curiosity, I'm expanding our business in the LA area. Would you know anyone that would be interested in earning like $300 to $500 a month? I can ask that 10 times a day, 20 times a day at Whole Foods. Just ask that. 99% of people will say no. 1% of people will say yes. So just in everyday living, everyday life, restaurants, eating, I'll do that. I can use a quick, direct approach. And then the slow harvest approach is putting yourself in situations where you see people repeatedly. And that's when you give value.
Welcome to MLM Nation, a podcast of leaders, by leaders, for leaders, hosted by Simon Chan. He's built a team of over 200,000 and is now a full-time MLM coach and trainer. So if you're ready to level up your business, join us now. Let's do this.
Hey, MLM Nation, this is Simon Chan. Today, we're celebrating the 9th year anniversary of MLM Nation podcast. And I appreciate you for listening here. Believe it or not, this is episode 800 and also coincides with the 9th year. And by the way, I did not plan that out, but it just worked out that way. As I'm recording this, it's March 30th. I still remember March 30th, 2015. The preparation took us 4 months of planning. And this was back 9 years ago where a lot of people didn't even know what podcasts were. And there definitely wasn't that many tools out there to publish and promote. Well, now it's become so much easier. And we were proud to say we were one of the pioneers to go out there. And I think that time out when we were reaching out for leaders, it was way more difficult because a lot of leaders, they didn't even know what podcasts were, right? And I had to kind of explain the concept and then got into it. Now, of course, the whole world knows about it. It's way, way easier. We started a movement where a lot of people will interview leaders as well, and I'm proud to be starting that trend. So anyway, for this episode, I wanted to take you back to the old episode 157. I remember after the first year, so this was 8 years ago, after 1 year, we made it 156 episodes. When we first started, we were doing episode a week. Actually, at one point, 3 episodes a week. Right. And then we got feedback that was a little bit too intense. People couldn't catch up with it. So we switched to 1 time a week. But we did 3 episodes a week and we had 156 and 157 was the second year. And a lot of people were curious about what my story was, how I got started in network marketing. So that time I had one of my good friends, Adam Carey, who I got to know. I met at an event and actually had him on the show. And he interviewed me. And it was one of the, I think to the record, the longest episode on MLM Nation. We talked a lot of cool stuff, fun stuff. I still remember that episode. It was in my old house. It was yesterday. A lot of fun. So episode 157. And I want to take you back then so you can hear my story. And you can probably hear also how I've grown. A lot of you have been following me, how I've changed over the years. But one couple of things that haven't changed is the principles that apply back then still apply today, whether you're doing social media or offline. The principles of serving, the principle of being a giver first, the principles of being a listener, how do you guide people to your product, those still apply today. So I want to take you back. We're going to rebroadcast that episode. And by the way, if you like any of these old episodes, they're all there for you. A lot of you who don't know this, it's a separate podcast called MLM Nation Archive. We have so many podcasts that Apple wanted us to create a separate one. Because I think for storage issues or whatever, they have a certain rule about that. So for episode 1 to 300, includes legends of Danny Johnson, from the old Ray Hagden to the Tom Big Al Strider, all those old goodies, Frazier Brooks, before he even started coaching and training. You can check out Frazier or Rob Sperry, who's just getting started. All these legends, before he even got started being a trainer, they were on MLM Nation. And Todd Falcone is another one, Richard Brooke, Jordan Adler. I can go on and on. Lisa Grossman, they're all there. So go check it out, MLM Nation Archive, that episode. So anyway, right now, let's go back to the time machine. Go back to when I was 8 years younger. Go back to episode 157 that was broadcast in March of 2016. So let's go right to the show.
Hey, MLM Nation, this is Adam Carey, and I'm fired up to be your host for today. If you're a regular listener, you might be wondering where Simon is. Well, I'm not exactly sure, but I think he resigned to go get a 9-to-5 job. Totally kidding, guys. Don't turn off the show because this episode is going to be a real treat. I have the honor and privilege to interview your host and founder of MLM Nation, Mr. Simon Chan himself. Simon, are you ready to make it happen?
I am ready to make it happen. Yes, I am.
Awesome, man. We're excited to have you. Why don't you tell the listeners what this show is all about?
Well, thank you so much. If you're wondering what it is, here's my good friend Adam Carey from AdamandMichelleCarey.com. We got connected through the show, and about like a year ago, actually about like 8-9 months ago, then we became good friends. We've done some stuff together. And, first of all, I want to thank all the listeners out there. Time goes by so fast. It's been 1 year. Can you believe it's been 157 episodes now? And I asked for feedback. First of all, I want to thank the listeners. I want to thank my team. Get every episode, not just me. I wish I could take all the credit, but it's really about my team out there, from Scott to Mike to Kara to Oki to Wisdom. Really, a total of 5 people, 6 people sometimes, brainstorming ideas to come up with this. So it's not a one-man show. Really, it's a team game. And I want to thank all the feedback. And, throughout this past year, we've gotten a lot of people asking questions, ideas. Thank you for submitting those ideas. And this is really, really cool. It's like the law of attraction, right? Sometimes you put a thought out there, you have an idea. And I'm thinking about, wow, it's 1 year already. It goes by so fast. Maybe we should do something special for this year 2, the first episode of year 2, because we've come such a long way. And I want to thank, by the way, I want to thank all the leaders who've been on the show as well. So 156 leaders, what can we do? And one of the ideas I had was maybe, because people have been asking me all the time, like, Simon, tell about your story. Share about your aha moments, because we know you've been successful in network marketing. We don't know the whole story. But we also know you do coaching and training, different groups like MLM Nation Insider, your mastermind, but share more. And for the first year, I didn't want to talk about myself because it's really not about me. This show is really about the leaders, right? The leaders who make us such a great profession, and about the listeners. So I actually said, no, I didn't want to do that because it's not about Simon. It's really about the whole MLM profession. And then one day, finally, I decided, you know what? All these questions, maybe, what the heck, to keep people happy, I will do an episode. Maybe this will be the episode to launch the second season. The first season we launched with Danny Johnson. Second season, maybe I'll finally answer everyone's questions again. I'm on the show. And the amazing thing is that morning, right after I went to work out, I went to walk my dog in the morning. I was checking, while I'm walking my dog, Obi, I am checking my phone for messages, right? Facebook messages. And Angelo Leventis Angelo, I want to thank you for this. Angelo Leventis contacted me through Facebook. He's from Greece. And, we got listeners globally in Greece. He said, hey, you know what? I got a great idea for you for your second season of your the first episode of your second season. Why don't you answer all the questions? Talk about yourself. And I'm telling you, Adam, it was crazy. It was literally like less than an hour. I thought about on my jog, on my workout. Angela messaged me at the same time. So I said, hey, this is fate. This is destiny. This is God's plan. So let's do this. So Angela, thanks for reaching out. Awesome suggestion. So this episode is about, the questions that a lot of you have sent me. We'll do the best to answer all of them. And I'll share one thing. I'm kind of nervous. So this is probably the most nervous I've been since the first couple episodes, which tells you that it's okay to be nervous, because even when I speak on stage, doesn't matter. I speak in front of, I spoke in front of like 10,000 people before, but even when I speak to some groups of 10 people, I still get nervous, but you just learn to overcome that. So anyway, I'm going to give it back to Adam, because it's kind of weird for me to, in every show, we introduce a speaker, right? So it's kind of weird for me to talk about myself. So Adam, why don't you open the show up?
I certainly will, Simon, and I'm just humbled and honored that you would ask me. And in a minute, I'm going to introduce and edify you for those that don't know you and tell you a little bit more about that. But I'm pumped for this episode because your listeners are actually going to get to walk away from this interview with a deeper personal connection and actually feel like they can relate to you on so many more levels. And on that personal note, you know Simon personally, that Michelle and I, we love to have fun. We love to laugh. But what you may not know is that we also have a serious side too. So before I edify you, I do have a serious question to ask you if you're ready. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So in my opinion, there's only 2 types of people in the world, and it has everything to do with the toilet paper roll. Over or under. There's a right way and a wrong way. Which one are you, man?
Over. But I've learned to be under because I don't want my kids playing with the toilet paper. So both. Okay. Over, but right now, as of right this second, it is under.
Okay. All right. Well, that answer right there is going to change lives. There's going to be future millionaires in the industry. So all kidding aside, let me tell you a little bit about Simon. Simon didn't know that question was coming, by the way. He's probably going to hate me for it. But Simon is
now you got me thinking, did I give the right answer? Gosh, what type of impression am I giving?
Over. It's all about over, man. Over is right. Everything else is wrong, in my opinion. But Simon is a follower of Jesus Christ. He's a husband, a father, the founder of MLM Nation, a business coach, and an online marketer. He's been involved with the network marketing profession for over 13 years. He graduated from Columbia University and had a dream job working for the NBA, the National Basketball Association. He became a very close friend with the first Chinese player to make it to the NBA, Wayne Gigi. That led Simon to become a certified NBA player agent, and he represented Wang for a short period before they actually joined with a bigger agency. However, after reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Simon discovered he was going down the wrong life path and realized he needed to start his own business. In 2003, he started his network marketing business because Simon believed MLM is the only business that really focuses on helping others. I would completely agree with that. Network marketing would let Simon live his purpose-driven life of having a positive impact on as many lives as possible. Simon built a global business, get this guys, of over 70,000 distributors in over 18 countries. He's a 3-star diamond director in his company's $1 Million Club. He's won the prestigious President Award for being the fastest growing distributor in North America. And in 2013, Simon followed his passion. He retired from building his MLM business, and he wanted to focus more on coaching and training. So even though he's been retired and hasn't done literally anything for the last 3 years, his company still pays him a 6-figure residual income. That's powerful. Simon and his wife, Kelly, they live in Los Angeles, California with their 3 boys and his first son, Obi. Maybe he can share a little bit more about Obi. But Simon, I've given MLM Nation a brief and crazy, awesome intro, but please share more about your background and how you actually came across the network marketing profession.
Well, thank you so much. And, for those who don't know my story, I was basically, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. My dad and my parents, who I really respect a lot, they were immigrants from Hong Kong. And my dad grew up, with, they were basically, when he came over to from Hong Kong to the U.S., they had no money. They lived in a tiny 400 square foot studio. And my dad came here to be a doctor. He did his residency, and he basically achieved the American dream. We grew up, basically, I was kind of upper middle class, spoiled, living in a nice part in Brooklyn, New York. Now, most of the people, when I say Brooklyn, New York, they think it's in the hood, in the ghetto. Yes, there's that part of Brooklyn, but I grew up in a nice part of Brooklyn, okay? I just sometimes say that to make it sound tough. So, but we grew up in a nice place, big house, 3 Mercedes, and, but what am I never grew up really that happy as a kid because all I wanted to do was to go to, New York Yankee baseball games, go to Knicks games, basketball games. I was really into sports, and my dad was never there. And so I said, because he was busy, he had a private practice, a private clinic. He had to, and then weekend he had to go to a nursing home, all this other type of stuff, right? So, and he had actually worked at 2 different hospitals, a Long Island College Hospital, which changed his name in Brooklyn. Then he had Methodist, and he had to go. So he's always busy. And I was like, money's not that important. I wanted to do something else. But see, my parents, they were just pushing education, because that's basically what helped my dad. My dad grew up, one of 6 siblings, grew up in a tiny little place in Hong Kong. The front of the store was like a hardware store, and the back that's where I think they grew up 6 kids in 2 bedrooms. That's what they did. And all of them studied hard, and they all became professionals, engineers, nurses, dad, doctor, a chiropractor. So my dad's just study. So that's what I did. I never liked to study, but my parents just pushed me. And I guess I was never wanted to get in trouble. I just realized, and by the way, I never needed a job. I never had a job until after college. As long as I studied, my parents gave me money. They gave me allowance as long as I hit my grades. So I was great. I could get all my G.I. Joe toys, Transformers, whatever, as long as I studied. And that got me into Columbia. And then, so this is really the poor dad, rich dad, the poor dad route. Study hard, get a job, right? So out of Columbia, I got the dream job working for the NBA. It was very, very little pay, but I loved it. And at that time, I was living with my parents in Long Island. I would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, go jog for 30 minutes. And then I would take a guy shower. The guy shower is 2-minute shower. I know ladies.
I thought it was an axe in a can. You just spray a little axe on you. You're good to go.
Well, I was a little bit better than that, okay? But some days I was tempted to do that because it was a 2-minute quick shower because I got to get on the LIE to beat traffic. I had to be on the road by 6:15, get to the office at 7. I'll eat breakfast there. I'll work, and I'll work to 6 p.m. And sometimes I'll be so tired during the day that I would, I would just go across the street at a Holiday Inn there, and I'll grab a USA Today, sit in the lobby, pretend to wait for a friend and just take a 20-minute power nap there, right? Just pretending I was like waiting for a friend reading the newspaper. So I did that for a couple of years, but I love my job. And then I became good friends, just working hard, became good friends of a player. His name is Wang Jiji. We're still very good friends today. He was the first Chinese player to make it to the NBA. Through him, I met Yao Ming. And then I moved out to LA. That's the reason I moved out to LA. Wang played for the Clippers. Then we joined a big agency. So all this time, then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I realized all this time I was making money for other people. I did so much stuff I'm telling you, like sacrifice my years of my life and my health just to promote the NBA, do all that stuff. And nothing for myself. And that's okay. Something's got to change. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then from this, I got to have a business. I didn't know what type of business. I had no idea. All I knew was sports, and I knew how to work hard and study hard, right? So I was looking around, and through Rich Dad Poor Dad, I read Cash Flow Quadrant, and I found about network marketing. And I was like, I didn't know what network marketing was. I thought it was marketing computer networks, right? So I thought, no wonder it's popular. This is like the internet's going fast. But then turned out, no, it's something else. So I was like, what the heck is network marketing? So I started reading books. I read Network Marketing for Dummies. Okay, even though I'm not a dummy, I started all the way at the bottom, the Dummies book. I read Your First Year Network Marketing. I did a lot of research with Wave 3, Wave 4 Network Marketing by Richard Poe. And this is before I joined because I was super skeptical. Like, you're telling me invest a couple $100, you can make $100,000? Like, I'm thinking about doing a Subway franchise because, again, I like the franchise model because I didn't have a product. Right? All I knew is like I didn't want a job. I got to have a business to create passive income. So franchise looked good, but then it takes $250,000 to get started and all that. So I looked at the network marketing, but network marketing, you can make more money than a franchise? Like, come on. It's like, there's got to be some, and again, growing up in New York, I'm very no BS, no hype, very, skeptical. So this can't be true. So I researched and found out it was true. And at the same time, I read the book that totally changed my life, Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. God's a big part of my life. And I found that after doing the 40 days of exercise, that for the 40 chapters, that God's purpose for me was to have a positive impact as many lives as possible. Like, I always enjoyed, even though I grew up shy and quiet, kind of introverted, but I always enjoyed mentoring others. And even back in college, I was like I'll be, a counselor for my small group, for like a teenagers and teenage and junior high kids in my church. I would do basketball camps and clinics in Chinatown just to get the kids off the street. I enjoy doing that. And I found that network marketing, people think it's sales, but it's not really sales. It's about helping others. Like, you can make money, but it's actually a very low paying sales job because you really don't get that much. You really don't make much money. You talk to 50 prospects, get 2 to sign up. You make a couple $100. There's really not money there. The money is in duplication of leverage. It's training. Because if you want to do sales, go sell houses, go sell cars. You make way more than network marketing. So it's a coaching and mentoring business. And I was like, well, that seems like what God told me to do, to coach and mentor people, right? And so I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's do network marketing. Let's go for it. And believe it or not, Adam, no one recruited me. No one spied. Just say, I'm going to do this. I found a company, went to Google, typed in the company's name in Los Angeles. Random guy's website came up. I called him, say, how do I join? Sign me up.
Wow.
And that's how I got started. That's how I got started.
Wow. Hey, there's probably a lot of people that are hoping right now someone's going to go Google their name and they're going to get popped up and their lives are going to get changed. But what stood out to me is just when you talked about your childhood growing up as a kid. For the listeners that have kids, kids spell love Time. I've got a 2-year-old. She's about to turn 2 in April, and she just loves quality time. It's about making memories together, and I think that's one of the reasons that this business attracts so many people. It's finally a way to get your life back. And here's something a mentor told me, Simon, is you could either work for a system or you could have a system that works for you. Those are really the only two options unless you just inherit a bunch of money. And so finally, there's a proven system that has a low entry cost that can work for us. It can change lives as it's done for you. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper, but I know one of the first questions that you like to ask your audience, and we're gonna ask you as well, is the struggles. When I look back on my own journey in MLM and reflect on the struggles, I hated going through uncomfortable times. I think we all do. However, I've learned to appreciate them because they really help shape you as a leader. They build character, and it's really where you learn perseverance. So can you speak on that? Take us back to maybe your most frustrating moment in your network marketing career and what lessons you actually learned from it?
Well, I'll share a couple of frustrating moments. Number one, one that's not that frustrating, but it's really important for people to know. Like, I had no success starting off, okay? My first 2 months, I made zero money. Okay, now I invested by then with monthly auto ships and stuff, almost $2,000. I made nothing. And the reason why is I had no consistency. See, this business is, if you go fast, it's really exciting. If you go slow, it's really, really boring and you want to quit. And I was going slow. I was doing different things and I wasn't focused. Some of you out there, listeners, you want to do other things. And I'm going to share this. At that time, I thought about multiple streams of income. I want to do real estate. And believe it or not, Adam, you're going to laugh about this. I actually wanted to be a model too. So I actually got my pictures taken, go make a card, appear in commercials. My friends will hook me up with that.
I think I saw the Simon Chan swimsuit calendar actually on eBay. I think it was for 96.
So hide that. Don't ever show it. But anyway, I was going to model. And by the way, that's actually a funny story because when the guy called me to sign up, I shared the story. Like, I reached out to him. He called me. We talked for 45 minutes. And I said to him, he said, "You want to sign up?" I was like, "Not yet. Let me think about it. Call me back tomorrow." And of course, I didn't think about it, right? He called me back the next day. He said, "Did you think about it?" And of course, I didn't think about it, but I just didn't want him to sign up. And when he called me at that time, I still remember it was a Friday afternoon at the Camarillo outlets in LA. And I was shopping for my modeling clothes for my first photo shoot. And I was just like, "I'm too busy right now. Call me back in 2 hours." So then he called me back 2 hours and I signed up. But I did so many other things. I wanted to do real estate. I want to write a book. I want to do this. I'll tell you, all of them went nowhere because you can't be, the only way to be successful is focus and having laser focus. And you don't have enough time in the day. Like, some people ask me, can I do multiple MLMs? No. Now, you can do multiple MLMs after you create a successful one. But some people ask, well, what about the services? I recommend this one company. Do health, I do this. No, you don't have time. Like, Adam, you're a successful six-figure earner, and you could barely have time to do one company, right? So how can you focus on so many things? So that's exactly what happened to me. I was doing all these other things. First 2 months, I've only talked to 10 people. And the only thing that saved me was I was listening to training calls, weekly training calls. And this guy on the call was basically, and this guy on the call, actually, he's on MLM Nation. He turned out to be one of my mentors and good friends, Steve Schwartz. And he's just like, if you do this business, and he was making six figures already, right? He's like, if you do this business on a Monday, take 2 or 3 days off, and then do it on a Thursday, and then Friday's the weekend, Saturday the weekend, who does work on weekends, right? You want to go to the movies, watch sports, watch college football. And on Sunday, after you watch the NFL, then you feel guilty. Then you make a couple calls on Sunday and do Monday, and then you take a couple of days break. It's like, that's not going to work. And I remember I was actually visiting my parents in New York. It was like a really cold day. I was pulling on my parents' driveway. I remember exactly, I was pulling my parents' driveway, driving their red Ford Explorer, and I just parked the car there and rewound that thing like 5 times and listened to it. And I was like, I knew the business worked. I'd read, Network Marketing for Dummies, read all those books. I knew people made money. Otherwise, why would Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all these people talk about it? But I had no money. I was making no money. I was down $2,000 because I was doing exactly what that guy, Steve, said on the training call. And this is way before podcasts. I actually had to I guess this saved me. I downloaded MP3s and burned them onto CDs. I'll just play them, right? And I got so angry. I was like, forget this. I'm going to start doing it consistently. And I just thought, it's like my New Year's resolution, 2004, is to prospect every single day. And I came up with this thing called 553. Every day, first 5 was just approaching people, see whether they were interested or not. The second 5 was follow up. And the third is do 3 presentations a day. For 3 people's got to look at the products, got to look at the company, whether it's an online video or a teleconference, something like that. I started applying that. And then and I got so angry. I got so fired up because I knew this business worked. I was making no money. I was like, forget January 1st. I want to start. And so I started this immediately, December 28, 2003. I started making phone calls to my parents' house, and I was so bad, so terribly bad, because I hate the phone. I don't like the phone. And I'm not a person who likes to call people. And I was terrible at it. I didn't know, I was stuttering. So I would go to my parents' den, and I had my laptop, but my parents' Wi-Fi, this is 2003, wasn't strong enough to go to the den. So I would take a couple phone numbers and then go into the den, close the door, and then make a couple calls. And of course, everyone said no. Well, they would say, hang up on me. And I'll go back out, look at the laptop, route a couple other numbers on the phone, go back in there. And my mom's like, what the heck are you doing? I was like, don't worry, Mom, don't worry. It's good. Don't worry about it. I was so bad and so embarrassed, I wouldn't tell my mom what I was doing. Okay. But the amazing thing is, I think one of the things is I played basketball in college, and like as long as you do something consistently over time, you get better and better, right? And like I couldn't run back in college. I was really good basketball shape. I couldn't run a marathon, and later on I could run a marathon because every morning I will run. And I realized if you do it a little bit every day, you get good. And I had zero skills, Adam, zero skills. And it took me 42 people. By the time the 42nd person, someone finally signed up. And that was the lesson. And I'm actually going to transition to one of my aha moments. One of the aha moments was self-development is really important. You got to learn. Now, you want to be a good basketball player, you go to summer camps, you invest in coaches. And I was like, I got to be good. I want to be good in this business. I got to read a book. So I didn't know how to do sales. I didn't know how to prospect. Aside from training calls, like listening to your team's trainings, no matter how great your company is not enough. And I think if you're listening to MLM Nation, you know that because you're listening to this, right? You got to invest in more. You got to go to seminars, go to conference, constantly working yourself. And I said, I got to do that because that's what I did in basketball. That's what I would do. So I went to Amazon. Said, let me find a book about prospecting, sale. At that time, it was way different. It didn't have many resources out there. So I found a book by Zig Ziglar, Selling 101. And it's kind of like embarrassing to say, but this is how far I've come. But the only reason I chose that one, Selling 101, as opposed to other books, you know why, Adam?
Why?
Because it was the cheapest book on there. It was like $7.99. Because $7.99 versus $9.99, I was too cheap to spend the $9.99. The $7.99 was the cheapest. So, all right, whatever. So, talk about a growth in mindset. I would spend $20 to go and hang, $50 a night to go and hang on my friends, but I couldn't even spend $10.99 on a book. So I went for $7.99, Selling 101, and I got that. And I realized when you prospect, you got to have a really sincere belief to help others. And when you really believe this business can help change someone's life, when you believe the products can help someone's, or your service can make someone's life better, products can help your health, or whatever it is, you really believe in it, and you're believing you're helping people, and not instead of seeing people as a dollar sign on the forehead, people start paying attention to you. And I was like, you're right. I saw every one of people as a target, as a way for me to make my lifestyle, my income. So I started making that shift. When I talk to people, I really cared about them. And it's like really a subconscious shift, just like close your eyes and feel like helping. Instead of seeing, I'm going to make a sales call, I'm making a helping call. I'm helping someone. Right? I'm not going out to make sales. I'm going out to help people. And whether they want my help, that's another issue, but I'm helping. And once I did that, I got very close to signups. And by 30-something people, I was very close, but I just didn't know how to close. But I kept on going at it. And by the 42nd person, that's how I got my first signup. And so that was one of my aha moments. And the worst, well, I wouldn't consider it the worst point, even though I didn't sign up anyone, because I knew it takes time. Like I always thought about, and a promise I made to myself, I was not going to quit for 5 years, because in the book, Network Marketing for Dummies, anyone who builds a business consistently for 5 years will make at least 50 grand. That's what the book says. And I was like, well, I don't want 50 grand. I want 100 grand. Right. And so I said to myself, if I quit before 5 years, and there's two conditions. I got to work the business every single day, which I was not doing. So I started on December 28th. The second thing is I got to give it 5 years time. Because if I quit within year 3, I just cheated myself. Because the statistics prove if you do it consistently, like 6-7 days a week of prospecting, and now not management stuff like shuffling business cards or just liking things on Facebook, but actually talking, presenting, prospecting, approaching people, you can make 50 grand. So I said, well, I want 100 grand, but I'm not going to quit for 5 years. And for that time, I had the date, November 14, 2008. I had it plastered everywhere on my apartment. Every time I go out, I was like, am I doing something? Am I going somewhere that's going to help me reach my goal? I said 6 figures before November 14th, or do something that's going to take me away from my goals. I wake up in the morning, it's my bathroom mirror. Am I waking up today to do something to help me reach my goals, to take me away from my goals? I hate the phone. Okay. I don't like to call up. I had to pick, every time I look at my phone, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like that I put the date right on the phone, make that one extra call. And I don't like to make the phone. So one thing I did was, I like gadgets. I always buy a new phone, new cell phone, because every time here's the good news about when you buy a new cell phone, what do? And this is way before the iPhone. When you buy a new phone, you want to use it, right? Like you want to make a call and test. So every year I'll buy a new phone. I was like, and I look at the date. Hey, go Simon, go make that one extra call. So I did that, and that's basically how I started getting my signs. I got better and better. Now, in terms of the worst moment in the business, and there was a lot of bad moments, and I'll share two. I guess this is my show. I can share as many as I want, right, Adam?
Well, today it's my show, but how about I allow you to do that?
Okay, all right. Okay. And by the way, MLM Nation, Adam is uncensored. He can do whatever he wants. I told him, hey, by the way, you got to check out Adam's videos on his website. We'll go to AdamMichelleCarey.com or on Facebook. They got hilarious videos, especially the one, my favorite one is the one I was in there. That was my acting debut. Maybe I can win an Oscar on it, but it was really funny. They got really, really good content. Go check them out. So that's why I chose Adam. Hey, you're a good friend, but you got an awesome personality. You run the show. So anyway, getting back to the stories, one of the worst moments is this is like I was two years into the business. I just kind of became full-time. For me to get to the next level in my company, I was a go director. I needed one solid leader. Solid leader means not downline, so don't do anything, but someone that actually performs and can sponsor, right? How many of you wish you had people that can sponsor? Now, I had a couple people in my business that can do that. One of them was John Gerlitz, who is my party animal friend. He's with MLM Nation episode 50, my best friends. I'll talk more about him in a second. And then his wife was good, but I needed someone else in my other life. And I kept on sponsoring, and no good, nobody, right? And I'll sign up people, and I signed up 80 people in a year, but they all quit. So here, I can't review the person here, okay? So this person was a distant relative, and my relative told me about this distant relative and said that this person is not good in the business because he's too busy. He just had like a second daughter, and actually he just had one first daughter at that time, and he was about to have a second daughter. He plays ice hockey. He travels. He does party promotions. He's a socialite. So he knows all these people. He was the most popular kid, voted most popular kid in his high school, everything. But he was way too busy. You could never get hold of him, right? And every time I would visit my relative, this distant relative, was always busy. I never hardly see him, just except for a big family, just big Chinese family dinners. We see each other. So I never approached him. One day, this distant relative all of a sudden comes up and wants to talk to my wife. And this actually went before we got married. It's like my girlfriend. And so I got to talk to you. So it turns out, okay, this distant relative who I never approached because he's too busy. She's not a qualified prospect. Okay. But let me remember, 2 years, I'm struggling to hit this level of a go director. And go director, you got to hit $1,000 a week for 4 straight weeks consistently to get to this is like the first big rank in our company. And I was struggling. I needed someone in extra light. I keep sponsoring. They all quit. I probably sponsored 20 people. A couple people became customers. One people was sponsored one, but the rest all quit. Nothing. No momentum. I keep going, kind of frustrated. I'm like, oh, does MLM even work? It's like a low paying sales business. I got one leg, but other leg's not going. So this distant relative calls my wife now and says, hey, you got to check this out. Gotta call me back. Right? So it's text her. So my wife talks to him. Turns out this guy joined another MLM company. So that's a shocker, right? That's actually hurt. Not only that, Adam, he sponsored 14 people in the first 4 weeks in this company.
Oh, I think it was not that he was not qualified. It's that you prejudged, huh?
It was the big, I felt that I had the guts taken out of me because I was stressed, working my butts off. It's not like I'm lazy. I was prospecting like crazy. I would talk to people in my community. I would, talk to all my college friends. I would buy leads. By that time, I was very good at online marketing. Right? I generated a lot of online marketing leads. I would sponsor them, but no leader. All of a sudden, this person's right in my kind of distant backyard. It's not distant. It comes in 14 people. The guy made like $5,000, $6,000 in the first month. And I was wow, if this guy's my business, I would wear it. And so that was one of the biggest lessons. Never prejudge. You never know what can happen. So that was probably one of the worst. And the lesson is because, so Adam, if someone's asked you, hey, what's up, Adam? How you doing? What are you going to say normally? How you doing?
Doing great.
Doing great, right? So you ask your friends, if you ask your friends, how you doing? What are you going to say? Doing great. But let me ask you, everyone, including I'm sure Adam, you, myself, right? We've had issues in our time where we had financial issues, right? Yeah. We've had issues, maybe even health issues, if you're doing health issues, or you need money. Do we tell people, oh, I'm like $50,000 in debt, or I just can't pay my mortgage? Do we carry around with a sign? No, your friends are the same way, right? Just like we've had issues where, Adam, you shared a really inspiring story on MLM Nation. And by the way, we didn't even mention that, listeners, you got to check out Adam and Michelle's episode too. That was like, I forgot what episode that was, but I was awesome share. So you got to check that out. But Adam shared that he was in debt and all that stuff because of the financial crisis. So, but when people ask you, hey, what's up? You don't tell them you're you're in debt, your credit card or creditors are coming after you. You don't tell that stuff, right? So
Yeah,
when
blessed and highly favored.
yeah. So when you ask your friends, on the outside, they may be looking good, but deep inside, they're not telling you. So you never know. And that distant relative on the outside seems to be having all the fun. He seems to be too busy, but apparently not too busy to sponsor 14 people in a month. So that was one. And another lesson, I can go on and on, was like, I lost my, this woman sponsored 30 customers in the first month who was in my business. Okay. Awesome. 30 customers in the first month, 30 something customers. Her name was Doris, right? She did it part-time too. She was like working the ministry part-time. So she was good. She was a leader, right? So this is back in 2005 or so, early 2006. I'm like working with other downlines who are nagging in my help. How do I fix my website? How do I change my auto ship? How do I do this? I'm trying to call them. Don't motivate them. Don't quit. Come on, you can do it. Well, I'm spending all this time. One day, Doris calls me. Says, Simon, I love you. You've been an awesome leader. I love you as a person, but I'm leaving your team. It's like, what? But you're making money. You got 30 customers. So I know, but you seem to be so busy with your other team. I need more attention, need more support, and you're just not there for me. It's been a couple of times. I was hoping you would call me, but I'm building my business, but you're busy with other people. And that was the big lesson the whole time, right? And that's the lesson, MLM Nation. Work with people that deserve your time, not need your time. I'm going to repeat that again. Work with people that deserve your time, not need your time, because a lot of people needed my time. And I'll tell you, all those people I helped out, they all end up quitting. But the one person that was a leader was right in my business. But I was too busy focusing on other people. I thought she was good. I thought she didn't need my help because she could sponsor 30-something people. Like, she loved the product. So she ended up quitting and joined on with another leader in our company that could provide her more support. And I would provide support. I would do everything for her. But I thought she didn't need my help. I thought I was working with people who needed my help. So that's the second thing. And I guess the last, it's a lot of stories here. The last one, I promise this would be the last one about the worst moments. And I guess I'm sharing this because letting people know, like, only reason we're successful people get there is we've been through this crap, right? And it's just, you keep going. It's almost like if I didn't, and here's the thing. If you had a really bad experience, here's some motivation for y'all. Use that as a fuel for your success. Use that. Say to yourself right now, you're going to use that story on stage one day. And that's the only thing I could do. When the distant relative sponsored 14 people, when Doris quit, all I can say to myself is, one day I'll be sharing this on stage. And that's the only thing that kept me going. Like, all the bad things about you, or the bad mistakes, or took you 42 people to sign up. Simon, one day you'll be sharing this on stage. And that's what kept me going. And one of my close friends, Robert Allen, who mentored me, taught me that. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He's written like 10 best-selling books. He told me, whatever your weakest point is, your worst moments, that's going to be part of your story. And your story will be greater than anyone's story, Simon, because you've gone through more mistakes than failures. Right? And those failures are events, not a person. You're not a failure, Simon. You just went through that. But that will make you stronger and better. Last one, the thing was, the worst moment was we were waiting for the Malaysia market to open up, and I invested a lot of money to go out there. And to make a long story short, the market never seemed to open up. And I was just like, oh, when is it going to open? When's it going to open? And then almost like forever, it finally opened up. And that actually goes to the lesson is the temptation to quit is greatest when success is right around the corner. I put so much time and effort. I got to thank my guy, Ken Ong. If he ever listens to it, he's like retired already. Ken Ong, he's one of my first leaders in Malaysia. Him and I, we did webinars, and the company couldn't open up. Even when it opened, we had issues. We did webinars, and we had webinars where no one would show up. And sometimes we just put in, random names. We're logging from 5 different computers just to show there was 5 people there. But no one would show up. We did that for 6 months. Because the company said, we're launching, but never launched. And I was just like, am I doing to do this? But all I knew was like my reputation, credibility is on the line. I got a lot of people to follow me. I needed to keep going. And even though, I was paying for an apartment in Malaysia, I was going back there, and I have to thank my wife for supporting me. I was going back there all the time. If you count all the times I lived in Malaysia, it's probably 18 months of my life spending there. Even the company couldn't open, I was still there. And kind of like, when in the war, the fort, even if every soldier's dying, but if one person's holding the flag, you still haven't lost yet. And sometimes it's just me and Ken that just said, hey, Simon, it's just two of us. We got to hold the flag. As long as we do webinars, we're still holding the flag. But once we stop that webinars, the flag is down. And we kept on going, persisting. And then finally, just when I thought, hey, this lease I've got in Pelanjaya in Kuala Lumpur, in Amcor Mall we stayed at, maybe it's not even worth it. I'm just going to end it, forget this. Okay, I'm just go back to the U.S. market. Just when I felt like quitting, then the company announced it. I finally got the license. And then that was in 2007. And boom, and then it really took off. And we had the biggest team in Malaysia.
That's such good stuff, Simon. You know what I really appreciate, and I think the listeners are going to appreciate as well, is just how honest and transparent. There's really no such thing as overnight success. You paid a price. You paid a heavy price. And the fact that you did not give up. And you know what I was starting to think about as you were sharing your story is the fact how hungry you were. There weren't people trying to motivate you and get you to read personal development. I mean, you were just hungry. And so you naturally just started to consume it. And that should be kind of an aha moment for us as builders, is when we're thinking, we're out there trying to motivate people. I heard, it's something that's always stuck with me, is it's far easier to give birth than resurrect the dead, right? And so you're just out there looking for passionate, excited people like you. There's so much good stuff in that last, 10, 15 minutes that you just shared.
I want to add one thing. You talked about the hunger. The reason I got hunger, here's another tip for success. It's like, I burned my bridge. There was a time when 2005, 2006, I got a job offer to work for a major sports company. It was basically SFX. They wanted me to do some stuff in China. There was a Chinese player that was going to be drafted in the NBA. His name was EJ in the end. He played for the Minnesota Timberwolves, the New Jersey Nets, Washington Wizards. He ended up being a journeyman, but he could be the next superstar. Very talented. They basically was going to offer me pretty good salary to go out there to live in China and to recruit him. And I saw about it. It sounded exciting. If I sign him, I'll get a big, nice signing bonus, maybe $100,000, $200,000 cash. Really nice, right? And I was like, well, that sounds great. But if I don't sign him, then I just got a job. But even if I do sign him, I still got a job. And what happens if I spend 2 years in China and our company's not open in China at that time, my whole MLM business will collapse. So it's like 2 years, I can make a lot of money, but what is my dream and goal? I can make the money, get a job. Great. But 2 years from now, I'll still be in the same hamster wheel, running, spinning, and going nowhere. I'll be worse actually, because I'll make money, but I got less time. That's one thing that's guaranteed for all of us. We're going to die. Whether you're going to die 70, 80, 90, 100 years or whatever, we're limited time on this earth. So I spent 2 years trying to recruit him. My whole MLM business is going to die. But if I forget about the money, because opportunity and time is way more valuable than money. I work on this business in 2 years. I don't need a job anymore. I go there. Okay, so what? I make $250,000 because I signed this kid, right? I'll make $100,000. Who cares? I get less life of my life. I get less years of my life to live, and my business is collapse. And then I can rebuild my MLM business from scratch. I just lost 2 years of my life. And getting back to Shimon's inspiring story, it's like, here's something. Almost every MLM distributor fails because they quit way too early. Okay, you can write that down. Almost every MLM distributor fails because they quit too early. But if you stay in the game long enough, like Adam, you stayed in the game for long enough. If you stay in the game long enough, you're guaranteed to be successful. Because MLM is just a game. It's just like learning to play basketball, learning to play checkers, chess, learning to play poker. If you play it long enough, it's the same thing over and over again. It's people skills. It's your mindset, your self-talk, answering objections. It's the same thing over and over again. Now, it may take you, depending on how much you put into it, it could be a couple of weeks, couple of months, couple of years to play the game. But once you know this game, you got it, right? Like once you master it, you're a very good poker player, you're going to be good for the rest of your life. It's the same thing in MLM. And I also have, you know me, Adam, I'm very no BS. And sometimes I say these things that may offend people, right? So I'll be very direct. A lot of people who have instant success really quickly, a lot of times it actually hurts them because they haven't gone. So, and then it could be because they were with a great company, the great trend, they get success, but they haven't developed the mindset yet. But the ones who are the all-time superstars, if you look at the 7-figure earners in the industry, they've all gone through my type of crap, my type of stuff, but 10 times more. That's what it is. So it's like, so what does that mean? What's the lesson behind this? And that applies to anything, right? Like people who you see that in athletes, celebrities all the time, they make a lot of money really quickly. And if they don't have the right values, they don't learn the right lessons, it self-destructs them. they get depressed, they go on drugs, or they lose all their money, become bankrupt, right? Because life is not about money. And we will talk about this more. It's not about money. It's not about being on stage. It's about the person you become. That's what I learned from Jim Rohn. Make the million from not the million for the person you become. So if you make a lot of money right away, then great. You better work on who you're becoming, your values, because you're going to lose that money really quickly. Because there's one thing I learned in life, and I've been, you can say screwed and many, many times to learn a lot of lessons. And I learned it from John Maxwell. When a person with money, with no experience, meets someone with experience and no money, what happens is the one with the experience will get the money. The one who had the money will get the experience.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, so it's really about your journey. It's not about the money. It's about the journey, who you're becoming. So as long as you're growing every day, great. And in all the bad stuff that's happening, awesome, because you'll be sharing that on stage one day.
Yeah, absolutely. And people will actually be able to relate to you as a human being, because I know sitting in conferences and going to events, you're seeing people walk across the stage, and we're going to talk a little bit about this later in the show, but you start thinking, man, they just have it so easy. Everybody they talk to says yes, but you don't get to hear about all the struggles. And that's why, I love Simon. I love hearing from the failures. I love hearing what doesn't work. And it just makes me, realize that we all had to pay a price. We all had to take this journey. And, it's just, it's a process, and you can't compare your journey to somebody else's. So you just got to be willing to know what you really, really want, because if you don't know what you really, really want, you might give it up for something that you want right now, which might be watching sports. It might be going and playing football on the weekends. It might be, just working your business, spare time, which is something I wanted to mention. I had a mentor tell me one time, it's exactly what you're talking about, is you were working your business part-time initially, but you could either work it full-time, you could work it part-time, but you cannot work it spare time. You can't give your business the leftovers if you're going to expect it to skyrocket to success. So I appreciate you sharing that, Simon. What about a proud moment? Do you have any proud moments, or maybe your proudest moment in network marketing that you can think of?
Well, there's a lot of proud moments. I mean, I'll share with you the most proud moment. One of the proud moments is one of my leaders, Nat Sunil. We become good friends. I really respect. I mean, when I first started, and this is what's so awesome about MLM, why I do what I do, because my purpose is to have a positive impact as many lives as possible. When I first met Nat, he was making like $200-300 US a month in Manila, in Makati. And he was living with Uncle and Miguel, right? And they were basically almost like 10 people living in a 2-bedroom place. The bottom was like a bread store, what do you call it, a panaderia. The top was a 2-bedroom, living with kids. There's 10 people there. It's not very sanitary. But they're just hungry. And then actually Ed's wife, who was actually one of the first people I met, was living in the U.S. and couldn't even see. They had a baby daughter that was in Fresno because the grandparents were taking care of it. The mom was in L.A. working as a maid so she can send money back home, because he had 2 other kids back home. And then Nat was like, he had a baby born premature. He couldn't even pay his hospital bills. Nat and Joanne, right? They were all, so 10 people living in Philippines with Ed's wife in L.A. The baby is like, 2-3 hour drive away because they can't even afford it at the time. And then today, both Ed and Nat, they've earned over combined $2-3 million in the business. They're one of the top people. So to see lives change is incredible. And I remember when I was in Makati at that time, and I had an apartment there for a year. I mean, that was like my headquarters. I didn't pay the electric bill. And back then, this is back in 2008, 2009, they didn't have online billing, right? So, I mean, I'm too busy doing meetings. I don't have time you actually had to go to an office to pay the electric bills. Like, I don't have time to do that. And in Manila, it could take you 1 hour to go 5 miles because the traffic's so bad. So I asked I actually asked someone else, like, how do I pay this? Because they said that if you don't pay your electricity bill, we're going to shut you off. It's like, because I hadn't paid in 2-3 months. I didn't know. The mail kept on coming in. I just thought you go online. I'm like, there's no website online. What am I going to do? So I was like, we can't get it shut off because we got meetings tonight, right? And Nat came up to me. Hey, and he said, up. You call me up for uplines. Up. I'll take care of it. Just give me 300 pesos. Just to cover my cab fare and my lunch. For 300 pesos at that time was $6. He was going to take 3 hours of his time, get a taxi, and this was actually all the way across town to help me pay that bill for $6 US. And I was like, man, just so he can and whatever money left over, that was what he was going to eat. I was like, man, my heart fell for him. So for me to see him now, he earns, almost 5 figures a month now in this company. Just to see that, it's just awesome. But I would say that's a memorable moment. But the most proud moment was, and I guess that's a proud moment to see not, but the most proud moment was the first time I was able to get someone to retire from the job. And that's with my good friend, John Gerlitz. Again, John's probably going to listen to this. We live very close to each other. We were just acquaintances at the MBA. We worked together. Go listen to that show. He was episode 50, I believe, John Gerlitz. He was a party animal. We were basically acquaintances at the MBA. We used to, just say hi to each other once a month. We would send an email because of work. I had to send some finance and stuff. He was in the finance department. And then he was one of the first people I approached. It took me 4 months to get him in. So finally joins in. I approached him in November. He's one of the 10 people I talked to in the first 2 months. Of course, he doesn't join. 4 months, finally joins in March 2004. Then he's only sponsored 1 people in the first 5-6 months. No success, but he had a great attitude. Finally goes to convention. Then all of a sudden, I don't know what he stepped on a convention, but he sponsored like 6-7 people in the next month. Okay. And my proudest moment was when in January 2007, he basically quit his job and came to Malaysia with me. He no longer needed a job because of his MLM income. And not just that, but to see him grow. And the amazing thing is since then, I lived in LA. He lived in Hoboken, New Jersey. Then he went to Philippines with me. Then he lived in Columbus. He lived in Florida. And it's just awesome. Now he lives like 10 minutes away from me. We're always hanging out all the time. He has a little baby girl, Alyssa. Just have a baby boy coming in the next any day now since the show goes live. And we hang out all the time. And since 2007, January, John has stay-at-home dad and never had to have a job ever again.
Wow, that's so good. Simon, when you read Purpose Driven Life and you realized that your purpose was to impact as many lives as possible, did you ever see it getting to this size? I mean, just those couple stories that you shared. Here's what I think about is by you saying yes to this opportunity, not only did you give you and your family a better future, but the thousands of people that you're going to touch a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. Because that guy in the Philippines, he could still be making $200 to $300 a month right now, never have been introduced to network marketing if it wasn't for you saying yes a few years prior. So it's powerful. You got to think about when you say yes to this, it's not just about you. It's about the lives that you're going to touch months to years from now that are going to be impacted.
Yeah, and that's why you can never quit. Because I'm not in the Philippines. I didn't meet him until 2008, September 2008, and I was in the business for 5 years already. That's the only reason I met because we did the Facebook marketing and connected on through Facebook. I met his uncle, and through his uncle Ed, I met him. So that's why you can never quit because you never know what's going to happen. You don't have the crystal ball, the magic crystal ball. See what's going to happen. You just never know.
Yeah, when I attended our company convention last year, our yearly convention, the common theme that we heard from the stage, from the testimonies that were shared, was I was praying for an opportunity, and then, I bumped into XYZ company. And you think about it, if you're a distributor right now and you're like, I don't know if this is worth it. I don't know if I could do this. I don't know. I want you to think about right now, there's people praying that an opportunity is going to be presented to them. Those are the people that you're looking for. And so just understand that you're an answer to prayer. You get to bring hope to people. Don't take it personally. They get to decide if they want to jump on the train or not, but you get to deliver that message. You get to share that with them. And man, it's powerful, man. I thank you for sharing those testimonies. I'm getting pretty fired up. So what is it about our industry, about network marketing that has you fired up right now, that excites you the most?
Just to know people like you and Michelle, you guys are awesome people. Like even if we didn't do MLM, we'd be friends. And how this profession is attracting high quality people. And if you look at, especially towards the, recently, the last couple months, almost every successful leader I've met were entrepreneurs. They come from an entrepreneurial background, right? And I'll tell you, when I first came into the business, I thought MLM was just for poor, broke people who had nothing else to do. I had no business experience, poor and broke people, no education, or have education, but no financial. By the way, I graduated from an Ivy League school, but I didn't know anything. By the way, my parents spent over like $125,000 on my college education. I learned nothing about building money for myself. Not even one. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know about mutual funds, stock market, investing, saving money, I'm all self-taught, nothing. Okay. So I thought, MLM was just about poor, broke people, but now you see it's attracting high quality people. And that's one thing is whether people join or not, right? Whether they think they can do it, everyone agrees that some people can make money in network marketing. They know someone that has made a lot of money in network marketing, and that's going to be more and more and more common.
Yeah, I used to think that network marketing was just for soccer moms with too much time and nothing to do. And that was before we had kids. And I realized parents have zero time. But it was once we saw it and couldn't deny the facts, it was pretty much a no-brainer. So here's a question I think a lot of people are wondering right now, just from your introduction, when you started talking about, retiring and pursuing training. Why is it, if network marketing is so amazing, why did you decide to retire and stop building? What was it that called you to do that?
That is an awesome question, okay? And this goes back to a dinner I had, and I'm going to mention his name, the guy, we become friends. He was actually my upline, something like that, right? This guy, Dan Brink. So Dan, if you're out there, I know you're going to listen because I'm going to make you listen to it. Thank you so much. So let me give you a background. Dan was a guy that when I first started, he was a top incomer, top 25. He could sponsor like 200 people in a year, okay? This guy was a stud, awesome. And then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, he just disappeared off the map. Like, he was still earning, but totally disappeared. Doesn't sponsor anymore. And I was just like, totally lost respect for him. I was like, this guy's, leaders, you got to lead by example, right? I mean, he kind of like broke my heart. Like, you're no longer on stage. You're no longer getting awards, So in 2007, we opened up in Malaysia. He came out. He was good friends with one of my mentors, Mike Ray. So, Mike, I want to thank you. I definitely wouldn't be here. By the way, Mike was the one who taught me how to do meetings. The first meeting I ever did in Malaysia was, by the way, I grew up like prospecting on the phone. But the first time I did a meeting was in Capital Hotel in Bukit Bintang in KL. And it was like 10 people, 2 people sitting on my desk. I had the laptop, and then the other people, another person sat in a chair, and the 7 people sat on my bed. Tiny hotel room. And Mike taught me basically how to, in Malaysia, he was a diamond director at that time, how to present. So anyway, Mike was close friends with Dan. Dan came over to Malaysia to support us. And I was just like, Dan, come on. This guy's not building, not doing anything. What the heck is he doing here? Right? Just having tourism. So anyway, he took us out to dinner. And, we went to Chili's in Bangsai in Kuala Lumpur. And that's like an expat place. So a lot of Americans or British, Australians go there. So he wanted like American type food. I guess Chili's is not American, it's Mexican, but I guess the Malaysian Mexican food, right? We go there. So the guacamole is very different from the US. We go there and we're sitting there. I remember, and he asked me, Simon, what's your why? I shared my why was to have time with my kids because my dad never had time for us because he was too busy working. I love my dad, but I don't want to be that type of dad. I want to spend time, be very active with my kids' lifestyle. And he said, Simon, never forget your why. I was like, what do you mean? He said, why did you join network marketing? I said, well, to spend time with my kids. So, Simon, make me a promise. When you get to that point, okay, do that. Do that. Make that promise to me. I was like, what do you mean? It's like, it's like, for me, my why is to make a certain type of income. Residual income. I got that. That's why I don't build a business anymore. That's why I don't sponsor. That's why I don't talk to my downlines. I built a business and I had an exit strategy where I hit a certain point, I hit my income, and that's it. I'm going to the moon. I'm going to hang out with the cows. And he had 6 kids. I don't even know if that's the right term. Hang out, going to the moon, hang out with the cows. Anyway, so you can, whatever, leave that in. Okay, don't edit that out. But anyway, he's like, he had 6 kids. And a lot of kids are all in elementary school. They got a baby. And I want to spend time with them. I did not join MLM to make more awards. I did not join MLM to speak on stage. I did not join MLM to get more stars. I did not join MLM to be in my company magazine, to be famous. I joined MLM because I want to spend time with my kids. So Simon, what's your why? And I said, well, when I have kids, I want to spend time with them. So remember that. Do me a promise to remember that. Because I've seen too many people who chase more stars, more money. So you can never make enough money in the world. And if you made every single money, the government's going to keep printing more money. So you never make enough money in the world. You never get all the awards, right? And at what cost? Because so if you don't have success, get that success, but know what your exit strategy is, right? Don't get consumed by money. Who's your idols? And he's a spiritual guy too. Don't get consumed by idols because he's seen people in our company that are top earners, they lost their marriages. So are you successful? You're like a, superstar diamond, made millions, but you lost your marriage. Are you success? So Simon, what's your definition of success? So I kind of define it to him. So that at that time, I never understood it, but I still remember I did it. So Dan, thank you so much. So when I got to, I won the President's Award as top. How I got into coaching or what leaving was a couple of things. Number one, I realized I had to have an exit strategy. I had to, because, some people, like, if you're listening to this and you love network marketing, you want to do network marketing for your whole life, that's awesome. That's great for you. And I'm not telling you to quit and stop. Don't retire. If you love what you do, great. Keep doing what you're doing. But for me, I never saw myself as a forever network marketing for life. I just saw this, I read Robert Allen, who's another great mentor of mine, like multiple streams of income. I want to do different things. One of my goals is to speak in front of 100,000 people, right? I didn't know what capacity. That's one of my goals. So network marketing is just a stepping stone to the next level. And I don't know what the next level is. Like, God had to reveal that to me, but I knew I didn't want to do network marketing forever. So, kind of back in 2000, starting 2000, late 2011, 2012, people on Facebook would ask me questions and all that and ask me for help, basically my company. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to, help them out. But it was just getting so much of my time. I was like, hey, my wife wasn't happy with it. It was like, you're not even making any money. Why are you helping? And I just felt that I felt guilty. I wanted to help them. And so I just decided I'm going to do a coaching program and people have to pay. And I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing, Adam. I just felt, hey, this is just an excuse to get rid of them. Say, hey, and I'll reply in the Facebook message, because that's the problem with Facebook. Everyone can find you. When you get an email, you can hide. Facebook, everyone got to find you. If they message you, you don't reply back. You're kind of like, oh, he's a bad guy. I messaged him 5 times. I don't care if it goes to the other box, but I messaged him. He never got back to me, right? Because if you don't have your email, you can hide, but you can't hide on Facebook. So I just replied back, hey, just out of fairness to my team and to my family and my kid. And that time I had my first kid, Ethan, who was born in 2011. I could only answer questions for paid coaching clients, right? So I just did that. And someone actually paid $250 an hour, paid me. And I did that. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool to make money. And then I quickly realized, hey, this sucks, because you can't change a person's life in 1 hour. And it's going to be a lose-lose situation, because I can't help that person, and that person just spent $250, and that person will say, oh, Simon Chan took my money, didn't really make an impact, this and that. So it's bad. So I started doing a weekly coaching. So I have like 2 coaching programs. I'm not going to talk about on the show. And, one for full-timers, like a mastermind, one for like a weekly for my insider program. And I was like, well, let's see what happens. And then the more I did it, the more I enjoyed it. And then I felt like God spoke to me that this is what I should be doing, because I remember Dan's conversation. I was making 6 figures already in whether I was doing the business or not, right, in my company. And my goal was, remember, 5 years, make 6 figures passive income. I hit that goal. I had my son. I should be spending time with. I actually felt guilty. Like, I would be going and doing meetings and I wouldn't be spending time, because reading to my son, and I've been reading to my kids since he was like even right, my newest son, couple of weeks old, I started reading to him. He probably didn't know what the heck was, but I want him to see him opening a book is important, right? Because it's all programming the mind. And reading and praying before we go to sleep is really important. Sometimes I'll be out doing meetings. And I was like, my wife's to spend time with my kids, not being like my dad. I'm like, but what the heck, Simon? You're doing what your dad is doing, pursuing more money. But my dad had no choice. You have to do that. But I have a choice. I can walk away. I got 6-figure passive income. Why do I need more? So that really challenged me. It's like, so, and then the coaching stuff, the cool part is everything's online. So I'm at home. We have set hours. I do a couple coaching calls a week. Everything's online with a webinar. Maybe a couple years, 10 years ago, when possible. Now with technology, I can do that. So, and then another reason, so that's the main reason how I got into coaching training. My purpose is always have a positive impact on as many lives as possible. And like, I felt that even when I was building my MLM business, this is probably the first time or second time I admitted. I think it's the first time I admitted in public that I never liked to prospect, because I'm always shy and quiet. I hated to prospect people, but I did it because that's what, Brian Tracy told me, successful people do what unsuccessful people don't like to do. I hate to prospect. I hate to present. I hate to show the plan. I hate to talk to people. I don't like to do any of that stuff, but I did it anyway because, hey, that's the way you be successful, right? So I did it. But one thing I always enjoyed doing, and I never considered work, was training and mentoring. Like in the Philippines, I'll go to like 5-6 trainings. I'll do 2-hour luncheons, just speak, jumping. And one day in Manila, that's the cool part. You have so many people in the Philippines. I can go from Jerry's Deli down to like a Shaky's Pizza, and then back to the Mexican. We just go to different restaurants, McDonald's. I could do all trainings, right? I never considered that work. But meeting a prospect, I hated it. But I just forced myself to do it. So I always loved coaching and mentoring. that's actually kind of gotten me into the coaching mentoring business. And it's really, I realized that my purpose was to have a positive impact as many lives as possible. And in my company, in MLM, I did have a positive impact. I helped out John, I helped out Not. In my company, I don't know how many people now. It's 400, 500,000. I really don't know what's going on in my company, except for they pay me a check. When I say I'm inactive, I just, make sure every month I order products to stay qualified for commissions. I got an auto ship. And then I make sure every week they pay me. I just make sure this gets deposited in my bank account. Aside from that, I don't do anything, but they still pay me, right? So the company may be like 400, 500,000 distributors. I had an impact on them. I helped out a lot of people, but outside of ML, I didn't. It's like, so when I got into coaching and training, I felt that's a better, even an awesome platform to reach out to more people. So like reaching out to people, like MLM Nation is a great example. Like we connected and I got to know about your great book, Don't Be That Guy, and helping you promote it and all that, and getting to know you and Michelle, getting to know Esther, being part of Ambitious Woman. Now, you listening to the show, doesn't matter what company, where you are, or Angela from Greece, having global impact. None of this would have happened. And that really ties to the mission and really the bigger mission for MLM Nation, why MLM was created. You're listening to MLM Nation. It's a podcast, but it's actually a lot more than MLM and then the podcast, right? MLM Nation, there's a good blog. There's over 700 different blogs on there. I've written 700 different blogs, videos about training. There's my Facebook page. There is the audios, my coaching, my mastermind groups. And the overall vision and the mission of MLM Nation is to help 10,000 distributors reach a full-time status, which income where can go full-time. And I'm not talking about like going, I'm really dedicated. I'm new. I'm going to go quit my job and go all out. No, don't do that, right? And then we talk about the mistakes. Work the business part-time until you can get to a level where you can really go full-time and not be stressed about it. So, that's my vision. That's our vision for in my team. We all have the same purpose, is to get MLM Nation for us to help 10,000 distributors. So if you're listening out there, whether you're earning $100 a week or, 1,000 a month or whatever you're new, you haven't earned anything, our goal is to get 10,000 people to full-time. And I shared with you before, my proudest moment with John, with Nod. They were like, in my company, I think I ran the report. It was like 400 something people that got to full-time status. Okay. And 400 something people in one company. I'm just like, if I did generic training, it'd be 10,000 should be a piece of cake. I feel like God's really blessed me. If I don't do that, I'm wasting my talents. And most important, I enjoy doing it. It's part of my purpose. So that's the reason I retired. And the last thing is, I did have some doubts though, was this business really residual? Because sometimes Adam, you see all these leaders, top leaders, still work really hard, right? They work. So is this really residual? So, I remember when I was building, if I don't talk to my downlines, if I don't reply back to them, oh gosh, I think I'm going to quit. My income is going to collapse. And when you're building, you do have to build to a certain point with a lot of depth and volume. But the good news, it is residual. Like I haven't done anything in 3 years. And I used to do more in one day than I would do in like an entire year now. And the checks keep coming in. So that's been awesome. The business does work. But what really fuels and drives me to do MLM Nation, to do coaching trainings, to get me up is, have a positive impact, to know that I made an impact in this world. It's not just about the money, but, and that's why I got to thank you listeners. If I've inspired you in any way, it's, God gave me the talents and the gifts, and, I'm out there just to make the best of it.
That's so good, man. And I actually just want to just tell you that I'm proud of you for pursuing that, because I'm sure you took some flack and people gave some pushback to your decision. But, there's a story that I thought of while you were sharing that. I'm a big John Maxwell fan, leadership expert John C. Maxwell. He used to be the senior pastor of Shoreline Church in San Diego, started off at some smaller churches, and he was having a huge impact there, but he felt God was calling him into more global leadership, teaching leadership all over the world. And if you look at what John's done now, because he stepped away from Shoreline Church, he's now impacted, millions of people through his Equip company, through coaching, through his books. I think he's written close to 80 books. And so I'm just proud of you, and I'm excited to see what God has for you, because if you didn't listen to your heart, if you didn't listen to him, there would be less opportunity for you to impact the masses. So I'm excited about that. I think that story was worth sharing.
Well, thank you. You brought a good point. No matter what you do, there's going to be pushback. There's going to be people who don't like it. And here's the thing, and another thing is the coaching and training business is way, way, way harder than MLM. Okay. Just this podcast is it's not just someone me press play. I mean, you may see online, it may sound easy. It's not just press play and record. For us to do 3 episodes a week, like I said, it's 5-6 people that work on the show consistently. I would say 5 people consistently, sometimes 6 people. Scott gets involved with strategy, but that's way harder. And I definitely wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now without the MLM background. It's really about learning about the mindset. But, if you're listening, whatever you do, there's going to be pushback. There are going to be haters. And this is one thing that my mentor told me. The more negative people, the more haters you have, the more pushback. Congratulations, because that means you're on your way to success. Because the homeless guy on the street who doesn't do anything, he doesn't have any haters. But the most powerful people in the world, whether it's the president of the U.S., like Obama, whether you like him or not, he probably has more haters than all of us combined, right? Mm-hmm. So the amount of haters, the amount of people against you, that increases. It just tells you you're doing something worthwhile. Because just as it's a huge group of people who don't like what you're doing, there's another group of people that love what you're doing. Yeah, so good. It's just being confident in your identity, knowing who you are, whose you are, and just kind of tuning out everybody else. Follow your heart. So good. I know if you had to start all over an MLM tomorrow, I know you would have success a lot quicker. But I'd like to hear your answer for that. Why would that be? Oh, the easy answer is because the mindset's different. A much stronger mindset. Like in the back then, I would shy to. I mean, I still did things. Like I said, I didn't like to prospect, but I still do them. But a lot of other things, like I would prejudge prospects. I had distant relatives because I didn't feel like calling, or I didn't want to do a home meeting. I didn't feel like. Nowadays, there's no such thing as I don't feel like. I actually intentionally put myself to do things I don't feel like doing. Like I'll give you an example. Is like I take cold showers. I have not taken a cold shower for almost 2 years. No, I take cold showers. I haven't taken a warm shower for almost 2 years. And like my coaching members know about this. I talk about it because cold shower is basically, delayed gratification. Now, the health benefits of cold shower, there's tons of them. I don't even want to talk about them. But one thing is it makes you feel good. But it's just dealing with 30 seconds, a minute of pain. And it could be, I don't care, it could be freezing cold in New York, 0 degrees. I'll still take a cold shower. In Vancouver, it was freezing. The water hurt. The water actually hurt my scalp. Where I felt I was going to get like a frostbite, right? It was so cold because in the winter, because the water's coming from the mountains. But I'll still take that 2 seconds of pain, 3 seconds of pain. Because afterwards, I felt great. Another thing I do is like, when I go work out, I hang on the bar, right? I hang on the bar. It's actually good for your back, but after you work and then your muscles are swelled or pumped, just hang there, hang for at least minute and a half. You hang until your forearm, your hands hurt, but it doesn't kill you. But I just do these things to make myself mentally tough because it's all mental. Like if you focus on breathing, relax. The end of the thing is my shoulder's not going to pop off, even though when I'm hanging on the bar, it feels like my elbow's going to pull off my joint, right? My back shoulder's going to pull out, but I'm fine. I've been doing that for months now. I'm still stronger than ever. But while you're doing it, it is heck painful. But I have the mental toughness now. And I'm just giving you 2 examples of that. But so how I'll be more successful? Because all the things I don't like to do, I don't care. I'm just going to do them. And I'll just do them and do them and do them. And then it became, whatever I don't like to do. And then it was almost like, well, if I don't like to do it, I'm just going to do it harder. So it's all about mindset. Simon the Animal Chan. That's your new name, buddy. Hey, if you had to boil down your success, let's say 5 things. If you have 5 that you can mention, what would those be? Number 1 is to think long term, right? Long term. So always, and long term, not necessarily 5 years to make 100,000. I see this business long term as something I can pass on to my kids. And when my time is over, I pass through to my kids can pass through to others. So I think long term. And long term means like you don't quit, right? That's the obvious one. But long term also means like I don't burn relationships, right? I'm a giver. I'm always giving, because like, just because someone doesn't join you, you meet someone, a lot of people, oh, that guy's not a prospect, forget it. No, but you may be doing other things later on together, right? Maybe your kids may become best friends later on. Or maybe that person becomes your real estate agent. Who knows? We live on the earth for a certain amount of years. Don't just think, network marketing. Don't put everything in a microcosm where, the person is not a good prospect. Forget it. I always think long term. And because of that, that's allowed me to be a giver. Sometimes I probably give too much, but I always believe the more you give, the more you get back. And I think God actually taught me this. Every time I've chased money, money's ran away. Every time I didn't care about money and just give, the money comes back to me. Even though, and that's the paradox where when I don't care about the money comes to me. Even though I don't want it, I don't care about it. And MLM Nation is a great thing. It takes a lot of resources, time, staff. I mean, we have 5 people. I got to pay them salaries and all that to do that. But I just give. And I believe eventually it'll all come back, and maybe it's not just money. Maybe it leads me to like have a relationship, friendship with you and Michelle. That's awesome, right? If we didn't have MLM Nation, we would have never been connected. I would have never met Esther. Esther invited me to speak Ambitious Woman, and then we connected. We met in Sacramento. It's awesome. So the first thing is just long-term, being a giver, long-term focus on the giving attitude. Number two is, this is very controversial, is being the purple cow. And season 2, we're going to have the purple episode, which basically, and I'm not going to talk about that. I'll save that for the next, the first purple episode, which is the next episode, about being different. Purple Cow is a great book by Seth Godin. Everyone should read it. And some of it's a little dated. It was written back in 04, 05, I think, but talks about being different. And I embrace being different. I embrace that I don't have TV. I embrace that my kids have never watched Cars before. They don't know about all these cartoons that other kids are watching. I embrace being weird. And when you're weird, you stand out, and that's how you're marketing. So a lot of things, my phone is on 24/7, do not disturb. You cannot reach me. You call me, you don't reach me. You text me, I'll get back to you. And I don't get back to you right away. I have notifications turned off. I check Facebook when it's scheduled time to check Facebook, not when a notification pops up. Okay. I'm very anal about that. I'm very anti-distractions, like Twitter notification, Periscope. I think, I put a blog post out there. I'm still very anti-Periscope. Like, now, it may be great for certain things, and people say, here's another thing. And every new thing's the next great thing. No, don't be a fool and fall for that. And I mean, some people are probably going to get unhappy with me, but Periscope hasn't made any MLM distributors money. Now, it's made leaders some money because it shows the lifestyle. It's a great way to train, right? People. And I wrote a whole blog post about it, but has you signed up anyone because of Periscope? Now, you may have signed up a couple people, but at what cost? How much time did that take you? If I spend that time going to the gym and just be friends with someone in 30 minutes, I can probably build 3 or 4 relationships instead of surfing and spend 1 or 2 hours on Periscope and got one contact. I mean, if you spend 10 hours on Periscope, yeah, you may get a couple of leads, but I could spend that 10 hours doing something else, going to my community, do some volunteer work. I'll meet more contacts like that. And actually, that's a real relationship. So I like to do whatever everyone else says. I like to be the weird person that says different. And that's actually a sign when I say, what should I do? If everyone's doing it, that's when, hey, Simon, don't do that stuff. And, if you do what everyone else does, you're going to get their results, right? So a couple other things like, staying focused. We're in a distraction economy. All these things like Facebook, even I love Apple, the iPhone, the Google, Snapchat, the Periscope, or Twitter. It's in the distraction economy. The more they distract you, the more they spend. That's how they make money. If everyone just said, no, we're not doing this. No. You know what? They won't make any money. They're making money off your time. So I'm very, very anal about it. I like to be different. I don't spend much time on those networks. I mean, the only thing I'd use for Facebook, because that's it's my outlet to communicate with people. Twitter, a little bit, right? Instagram, I got it going and not. A little bit of it, but staying focused is something that, and how to stay focused is just saying no to a lot of things that a lot of people like to talk about. I don't talk about. If everyone's watching the Super Bowl, hey, I am not watching the Super Bowl. If no one's watching it, hey, maybe I'll watch it. I like just to be different, a contrarian. A couple of things. Number 3 to help me become successful really quick is, and by the way, I could talk about the purple cow and being different all day for like a 5-hour training about that, but move on. Number 3 thing that helped me out was online marketing. I never was really knew anything about computers, but I got into online marketing back as early as 04. I learned to generate my own leads. I bought leads. I was like, hey, that sucks. Okay. Again, lead companies may not like me. Buying leads sucks. They're terrible leads. I did sign up a couple people. I didn't like it. Let me generate my own leads. So, and the cool thing about now, you can learn whatever you want. I attended online marketing conferences. I read books. I started generating my own leads as early as 04. I was doing AdWords and later on doing online marketing, social media marketing. That's how I found Knott's Uncle Ed through Facebook. I've been doing online since, 12 years now, 04. Number 4 that helped me successful in new markets. I love going to new markets. One of the reasons I became where I am, when Malaysia opened up, I went there. When the Philippines market opened up, I was one of the first ones there. I love doing that. That's actually something that gets me really excited and fired up. And like I would say, number 5 is I am super, super productive. I'm really, really anal, and you know about this, Adam. I'm really anal about time management. Okay, I don't take incoming calls. If you are late for a meeting, I just leave. Okay, so then people think that's rude, but you're rude to me. Like, you're late, right? I mean, if you had a flight to catch, would you be late for the flight? You're not going to miss your flight. Because why? Because it's really inconvenient if you miss your flight. But you'd be late for me, and that means you are more important than me then, right? That's inconsiderate. So when people are late for phone calls, and they call me back, I just don't pick up. I'm on to my next thing. I'm really anal about time management, disruptions, distractions. And you know what? This may sound terrible. I may have offended some people. Yes, but you have to sacrifice a few to do the greater good. If I answered every email, if I took every phone call, if I didn't, if I stood there waiting for people to show up who are late, I would never, ever be able to create MLM Nation. I wouldn't even have the time. I'll be so overwhelmed and stressed trying to keep everyone happy. So it really goes back to your purpose and vision. So anyway, that's a long answer to that questions. 5 things: thinking long term, being a giver, being the purple cow, being different, online marketing, expanding to new markets. New markets also mean new cities. You went to new cities like Miami, stuff like that. And number 5 is being really anal about time management.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was going to recap it, but I appreciate you just breaking them down real quick. Once you learn how to come out of your shell, Simon, and you let that passion flow, you're really going to have a bright future. No, I'm kidding, man. Hey, are you a coffee drinker?
You know what? I never was until I had my first kid. So we're talking about productivity now, okay? So, our company
are making sense though, because I'm just like, man, I want whatever he's drinking.
Well, I'll share with you. You know what it is? I started drinking coffee like a 1 cup, then became like half a cup, and then became 1 cup, and then energy drink, and then in 2014, and I know you have Hannah, right? I'm telling you, by the time you have your second kid, you realize you become so much more productive. I always joke about it. When I was single, and then I started dating, I was like, gosh, man, things were so much easier when I was single. And then when I became married, I was like, gosh, things were so much easier when we weren't married. And then when I had my Obi, my first dog, my dog, wow, things were much easier when I didn't have to walk the dog. When I had my first kid, wow, things were much easier before I became a father. Then when I had my second kid, I was like, man, I had so much easier with 1 kid. And so when my second kid came, it's like, God threw me all out in the fire again, outside my comfort zone. I tried a lot of different things, I shouldn't say the word try. I did many things, like sleeping 3 hours and taking a 3-hour nap and all that stuff. None of it worked. I ended up drinking more coffee. And then towards the end of 2014, this is like in November, I would just get tired all the time, right? I need naps. And then people say, oh, you're getting older, the kids. And that was my excuse. I was like, oh. But then I was like, wait a second. It's all in the mindset. Like, stop thinking about it. There's no way I'm getting older. There's no way. Forget this nonsense. I'm looking at the negative self-talk. So I was like, I'm so tired of being and drinking coffee to stay awake, to get fired up. And I was like, I'm going to start studying. Okay, I'll start being focused and start reading like 5-6 books about nutrition, energy. And I realized caffeine is terrible for you. So I did a couple of changes. I started giving up, it was a slow transition. I gave up caffeine. I totally don't drink caffeine on Saturdays, Sundays to kind of reset the body. And then I cut my coffee down and no energy drinks whatsoever, 0. Okay, because it just abuses your adrenal glands. No good. And I know there's healthy energy drinks out there, but nothing is healthy. Healthiest thing is natural. Okay, nothing. And then the coffee, and you probably think this is gross. I'll make a cup of coffee on Monday morning. I'll keep that coffee in my entire desk to Friday to see if it lasts. And maybe it's even spoiled, whatever. But I'll take sips of it to see. And that's the only reason I do that, to gauge actually how much coffee I drink. So today, right now, as we're recording this, it's a Thursday. The Monday coffee is still got probably a couple of sips in there left. I haven't finished yet, right? So, and then other thing I did was I drink lots of water. I drink like tons of water, like almost 2 gallons of water a day. I do go to the bathroom 50 times a day, but and I drink green drinks, like wheatgrass. That alone has given me tons of energy. Like, so even nowadays, I used to, if I spoke at did a training, like one of my boot camps or workshops, I definitely had some caffeine to get me fired up. I don't need that anymore. It's all meant. So even like when we did that event together in Sacramento, like I didn't have any caffeine right before. I was like, no way. It's all meant. I don't need caffeine. So anyway, it's just another thing to build mental toughness.
Wow. So what I got out of that is, if you want to be successful, drink week-old coffee, raise a purple cow, and be productive. All good stuff.
Exactly. Drink tons of water. Drink greens. The things that give you energy. Absolutely.
Hey, So I know, this is your show. It's all about you. I've got a bunch of more questions, so listeners can break this up into sections if they need to. But I know I'm getting a lot of value from this, and I want to continue to get as much out of you as I can. So you mentioned back when you were, going to pursue MLM, is it truly residual? And talking about the fears and doubts, could you just quickly touch on any doubts or fears that you had before you took the leap to start MLM Nation? Because you didn't do MLM Nation to try it. You were all in. And I mean, you had a staff and you were just, you were putting your money where your mouth is. So can you talk about what was going through your mind? Because I know anytime we do anything new, oftentimes the biggest obstacle is ourselves, our own self-doubt. And I'd love to hear, your take on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't do many things. So I'm very boring, but if I do something, I'm all in. So I'm very, very focused. So the MLM Nation, the podcast, the show really came, the idea came on a flight we're flying to Sydney for my annual boot camp in Australia. So I do a high-end training there. And, my business partner and I were on there. And I've been writing blogs I have over 700 different blogs on my website. And so I've been blogging since 07, 08, basically. Actually, you can trace it back to even as early as 06 when it was my e-zine was on my blog. So I thought about podcasts because I listen to a lot of podcasts myself. Like I said, I'm into business. I listen to business podcasts, fitness podcasts. I got a lot of those tips about drinking water, green drinks for fitness, like health podcasts. So I was like, how come there's not something for network marketers, right? Wouldn't it be cool to hear, to learn? And, when I was in my company, I knew all the success stories, trainings from my company's leaders, but I would like to know what other leaders are doing. Because I wish I had that. And then, of course, you can go to YouTube. And on YouTube, there's so much stuff out there. What's good, who's for real, you don't know. What happens if there's an authority that actually pick the leaders and make sure they're good and then kind of do the homework and then let people know about it? And I was like, that would be really cool. So that was the idea. And another point was talking about like putting yourself outside the comfort zone. Like at that time, I figured of all the skills, right? Like in terms of like marketing, online marketing, coaching, training, doing sales, running a company, managing employees. I think the thing that was my weakest link was networking. I feel like, and now again, that's all relative. I may be a good networker compared to others, but relative to the other skills, I probably was weak in that. It's like, so how about feature other leaders? Because number one, not only interesting, but hey, I better be good at networking because otherwise I'm not going to get anyone on the show. So I basically put myself out there. Hey, Simon, you're going to either do well or you're going to burn, because if you don't start networking, you're going to have no guests. And I say, let's make it aggressive, not just once a month. How about 3 times a week? So Simon, you got to be networking like crazy. Otherwise, the show is going to be a failure. And Simon, you don't want to fail. So I put myself out there. There's a lot of fear. And I admit there's a lot of fear. And I think the fear is the fear of success. What happens if someone says yes? And I'll tell you, we decided who's going to be on. We wanted a female to go on there in the first episode. And we thought about Danny Johnson. Danny Johnson's very famous. I actually always believe I like her. I like her stuff. And so how do I get Danny Johnson, right? She's pretty well known. If I call her, if I email her, she's not going to reply back to me. So what's the best way to give value what's one of the best way to someone to pay attention to you is to give value. So I said, all right, so how do I give value? Give money, right? So I went to her event. I flew out to Austin. The whole trip cost about $2,000. I got VIP seats and everything. Got this. My whole goal to go out there, of course, to learn a little bit, but really to talk to Danny and to get her on the show. So I go there and I got VIP seats. I go there early. And I found, so when I'm actually registered, when I'm going on the plane ride, I'm like, oh my goodness. I was talking to my business partner. I better make this happen. It's $2,000, because we're investing in other things and stuff like that. That we could just spend the $2,000 on other things, but you're going there just to get this one interview. And he said, you better make it happen. I'm like, all right, thanks for the pressure. So I'll go land there on the registration line. It's like, I asked these people who are registering, I need to talk to Danny Johnson, for like 45 seconds. And I had my spiel, everything prepared. Okay. And that's one thing I learned, the 5 P's from one of my mentors back at the MBA, Tom Schoenwald. Okay, and I'm going to get him to listen to it. I want to thank him. He told me the 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Okay, proper preparation prevents poor performance. So going there, I had my website on there. I had all these leaders I wanted to feature on there. And I have Danny Johnson right on the front at the top, because she's going to be the #1 episode, right? We're going to launch with her. Everything prepared. Okay, even though we we didn't even have one thing recorded. I did have the intro and the outro recorded so I could show her. So I was prepared. So I go there and I at the registration line, I was like, hey, I need to talk to Danny Johnson for 45 seconds. I was like, I have an important question to ask her. And she's like, oh yeah, during the sessions, we'll give you the mic and you can stand up and ask your question. I was like, no, it's not that type of question. It's a very personal question that no one else can listen to. And I was, oh, I don't know. Danny doesn't do that stuff. But I need to ask her. I'm here just to ask her that one question. And the question was to get her on the show. So maybe you have to run through her right-hand woman. So I talked to a couple other people. Turned out this right-hand woman was Jennifer Ratchford. So I was like, who's the Jennifer woman? So during that event, I have VIP seats. Okay. So forget about Jennifer. I'm going to go to VIP, sit in the front row. And when she gets off stage, I'm going to go there, talk to her. I'm prepared. I got the website on my iPad to show her. I got all this audios to listen. So I go there and I realized out of like the 3,000 people there, like 2/3 of them had VIP seats. So I got in early, but I'm in the back of the room already because there's people who actually literally, and Danny Johnson's so good, people camp overnight, sit in the front row. I was like, okay, so much for that plan. And then when she comes off stage, there's no way I could get to her. And then she's basically on stage, off stage immediately. Unless I cause a security scene and a bum rush to stage, there's no way I can talk to her. I said, well, okay, so we got to go to plan B now. So plan B is Jennifer Ratchford. So I find out who Jennifer is. I kind of ask employees, hey, I'm looking for Jennifer Ratchford. Who's it? Oh, that's the lady there. So finally, I'm like stalking her for the whole event. Finally, there's one time where she's eating lunch in the back. And then when she finished lunch, she got up. So I followed her. Of course, she went to the ladies' room. So when I went by, I didn't go inside the ladies' room. I waited outside.
Yeah, I was going to say, you didn't. Never mind.
Yeah. So I waited outside, and then she, it was a very quick, she came out, and then I approached her. And then I gave her my business card, talked to her, and she said, oh, let me get back to you. And it was just follow up, and the 4 weeks of follow up. And then finally she said, all right, Danny's ready to do it. And Danny's like, I love her balance, work-life balance. She only works a certain amount of weeks. When she says it's that date, that's the only date you can do it. You can't be flexible. So you better make it happen. So that was during Chinese New Year last year, and I was in Vancouver visiting my wife's family's old friends all in Vancouver. I was like, okay, but they live in a tiny house, her parents, and like there's no way. But kids are going to be loud. So how am I going to do this interview? We've been professional. This is my first number one episode, right? The most important episode. We're launching this. What am I going to do? So I'm like, it's like the only thing I can do is in the car. So we, for Danny's episode, we did it out it was like maybe 35 degrees that day. I used my father-in-law's cell phone, hotspotted, brought my mic and my laptop, sit inside a car. I had like my little hat on, my jacket on. I interviewed her from inside the car.
I love it.
That's how, that's what it takes to be successful, doing that extra thing. And, just selling yourself, right? It's all about selling yourself, being focused. I had my team, I just listened to anything you want to do, you can learn it. I bought a course. It's like a $1,200 course, totally worth it. I had my entire team go through that course. And people think it just takes 30 and 40 minutes. I basically worked like 20 hours a week for 5 months before, 4.5 months, working 20 hours a week before the launch of the first episode. And basically from November to March, that's all I did and focus. And again, goes back to before I was talking about the multiple streams of income. You really got to be focused. And I think that's one of the things that made it successful. It's just our whole team was focused on that one thing and saying no to everything else.
Yeah, I remember listening to that episode because I first heard about you when one of my mentors was on your show. And I went back, I said, I want to go play the first episode. And I was on a drive, about a 2-hour drive to my dad's house. And I remember listening to your first episode of, man, this guy got Danny Johnson. It was a great episode. And I was really impressed because I think even your first and second guest, was it Big Al for your second guest?
Yeah, it was Big Al and Ray Higdon.
And Ray Higdon. I think I listened to all three of those on my drive up and back. And I was just impressed with the caliber of guests that you got. And that's what kind of got me also hooked on your show.
Yeah, one thing is you got to be bold and aggressive, right? And I had a website with all these leaders, top leaders on there. And people may sometimes be asked, but they're not confirmed yet. Well, how can you put them on a website? So the way I approach it is like, we plan to have you on the show. We plan to feature you. That's why we put your face on there. And everyone loves to see their face. And people ask, why do you have me on there? We plan to have you there. We had 14 leaders there. Only one person told me to remove her image on there. So the rest were all cool with it.
Yeah, so good. So good. So just to keep moving on, you've talked a lot about discipline. You're obviously a very productive and focused person. Could you share just a little bit about I know you must have a morning routine, but what that is, how long you've been doing that, and what keeps that in line? What kind of walk us through that? Because I know the morning routine is something I adapted several years ago, or adopted, I should say. And it's just, man, my whole entire day is just so much different, so much better because I actually have structure to start my day. So talk about that.
I wake up and I read the Bible, I pray, and then I watch so that's very important to me. That's the priority. And
Absolutely.
then I watch my movie. I actually create all these screenshots, pictures, and I put them on Evernote, and I just go through them. And I think Signum Kanaki out of Melbourne asked this question: what do I do to stay focused? And one routine is like, I have a picture of all my past success, my affirmations, things that make me happy, things that my future success. So, for example, if I plan to speak in front of 100,000 people, I will have a picture of, the only picture I could get was Martin Luther King speaking in front of 1 million people in DC, but I visualize myself being there. I just look at these images because we always act according to ourselves, the image in our mind, right? Like even if you're listening to this, before you listen to this, you visualize listening to the show. That's why you listen to it, right? You visualize what you're going to do next. So everything's up mental. It's all in mindset. So I go through the images, things that make me happy, remind me who I am. And I play that for like 4 or 5 minutes. I play that. I listen to a certain song. I've listened to so many times where I can close my eyes and I can play a certain song. It's kind of like, if you ever played a certain song and it brings you back to a certain moment, right?
Yeah.
I can play that song and I can play that's the movie of my life that's going to happen, and if you think about the movie, your life is a movie, everything changes because the movie's going to have a happy ending, right? If you're sitting there, just say, you need a prospect, you're sitting on a train and you're not talking to anyone, just looking at your phone, there's a person next to you. Think about if that was a scene in the movie, that'd be a really boring, lame scene.
Yeah.
Right? So instead, talk to the person next to you, say hi, smile, start up a conversation, make it interesting. So I'm always visualizing playing the movie of my life. And that actually, so doesn't matter what happens. So I know what's going to happen to my life already. That's my movie. So when things get down, things are no good, I just play back that movie. So this is what's going to happen. So it doesn't matter if just 1 or 2 things are, not desirable happen to do, or quote unquote interesting things happen that you didn't expect. Your movie's going to be good. So I play that. Then I write down 10 things I'm grateful for before the day starts. 10 things I'm going to be grateful for. 3 new things I'm grateful for my wife for. Okay. That's like start off that day. And then I do a daily dose of gratitude. I reach out to someone. Oh, and then I meditate. I'm a huge fan of meditation. Is probably the one thing I highly recommend everyone to do. Okay, just sitting there with mindfulness, aware of your thoughts. Sitting there for 5 minutes. I meditate 2 times a day. So I do a 5-minute meditation, and then I do some yoga for 10 minutes just to stretch myself out. And then I drink. Actually, you can skip before I even read the Bible. I drink about like 32 ounces of water with vinegar. Okay, that's the first thing I do. Then I read the Bible. I gotta get
vinegar.
Yeah, just like set your blood sugar and stuff like that. Mixed in with vinegar, 1 teaspoon of vinegar. So I drink tons of water. I'm hydrated. Then getting back to it, I meditate. I do 10 minutes of yoga, just really quick stretches. Then I drink wheatgrass. I take my supplements, and then I reach out to some random person, do a daily dose of gratitude, just letting know I appreciate them. I find out whose birthday is this. I sing happy birthday to them, send them out to them. And then I'm ready to start my day. So that routine takes about like an hour. But I feel like I have to do that routine. Otherwise, the day just doesn't start off well. So I wake up earlier.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So good. So how about charities or nonprofits? I've not heard you ask this question to any guests, but what's awesome about our profession is it really gives you the ability to contribute. So is there any charities or nonprofits that you've had time to support or add value to?
I donate to my church, but aside from that, there's not really charities I give. I give. There's really no charities. But what I do is I give. So the whole charity thing. There's always this thing like, is this charity good or not? Like, what can you decide? Like, is this better than this or this better than that? So it's simple, right? And a lot of charities, I'm not saying they're bad. Some of them, a lot of the 30-40% of the money goes to admin stuff or marketing, right? So years ago, I decided instead of giving to a charity, I just give to normal people. Like, for example, if I go to a restaurant and I love this place, Soup Plantation. It's like a salad buffet type of place. I take my kids there, and it's like a $10, $15 meal. I just give a 50, 100% tip. I give it to the waiters and because I'm telling you, those people work hard. A lot of they work hard. I mean, we think we work hard as network marketers. Heck, we just talk to people and train. Those people are on their feet 8 hours a day. It's like working out. You don't even need to work out. Lifting dishes, scrubbing. They work so hard. And maybe because of the way the program, they're not into the business, but doesn't mean they're not good people. So what makes me feel good is just surprising them. 30%, 50% tips. I just tip really big. If they're good, sometimes even 100%. Just to get them a smile. Another example is like my school, right? These teachers, like they've been going to school. You can call it daycare school, but one thing I'm proud of my kids. By the time they were 2, both my 2 boys right now. I'm not the youngest who's just born, but they're both bilingual. So we speak only Chinese at home, and that's really to credit to my wife because I'm fluent in Cantonese and Mandarin, but my wife is only Cantonese. But she kind of learned Mandarin just for the kids, So, and actually, my oldest now, his Mandarin's actually better than my wife's. Like, he can speak, and my wife sometimes doesn't even get it. So, because my wife kind of learned like just the basics. So they went to basically, we send them to daycare because they do arts, they learn, and they basically learn all the English in school. But these teachers, they work hard. They're such loving people. But I'm thinking about, they probably make only 26, 30,000, maybe at most you administer 50,000. That's nothing to live in LA to be on that income, right? So, and the Thanksgiving, I just give them $25, $50. I just surprise them. People give, Christmas, I give gift cards. But in Thanksgiving, I just randomly give Thanksgiving gifts to them. And they were so happy. Like one teacher came to me and said like, oh, thank you so much. For that, we were able to buy extra bigger turkey. We were able to start Christmas shopping earlier. And to me, that, just to make someone feel good, it's awesome. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, just a John Maxwell quote comes up when he talked about that. He talked about generosity being the highest level of living. And I truly am a believer in that. That's the only way to live. It's so fun to bless other people. So well done there. How about role models? You have a couple role models in mind that you had growing up that you can mention?
They're all athletes. But I was thinking about this recently. Michael Jordan, the way, the 1996, 1997, he was sick and he still played and hit a game-winning shot. But really the 3 role models, and this is one of the reasons I love network marketing because network marketing gives opportunity to women. All 3 of my role models who had a big impact on me to where I am today, kind of like life lessons, were all women. Number 1 was my grandmother, my late grandmother. I was always picked on as a kid. I grew up in kind of all white neighborhood. At that time, there was some racism. We've even played football. If I dropped, when I dropped the pass, they'll call me Jerry Fried Rice or something like that. I'll get picked on, and I didn't do well in school. I couldn't English was my second language. They just said, hey, just keep working hard, and you can prove the haters wrong. Don't let the haters take you down. You're going to get the last laugh. So my grandmother inspired me that way. Always say, no matter what people make fun of you, just prove the haters wrong. One day, you'll be better than them. So my grandmother. Number 2 is my mom. My mom is just self-read. She's basically an immigrant, and she's just reading books. I guess maybe that's the reason I love reading. Is ever since I was a kid, I grew up with Newsweek magazines all over the house. And even though I couldn't read, I like to look at pictures of tanks and pictures of cars or whatever, planes on Newsweek, whatever they're fighting back then. I'll just look at the pictures. I'll look at them police cars. So I always grew up picking books up. And my mom basically lost a lot of money in a real estate investment deal, but she did not quit. And she told me not to quit. And she basically learned to invest and self-taught, everything self-taught, but just reading. And she was able to do well enough to let my dad make more money than a doctor and let my dad retire 10 years early, all self-taught. So she inspired me, self-development, not quitting. And then the third person was my wife. Marriage, as you know, Adam, is not easy. Probably the hardest thing, much harder than MLM or running a business. And a lot of times when things, marriage sometimes gets tougher, you always blame the other person. But ultimately, it's us. Right? All the solutions are within us. So my wife challenged me to look inside to say, hey, Simon, you got to change. And that kind of got to me, you got to change and make this work. So through my wife, she really open my eyes and forced me to be outside my comfort zone, do things and see things differently. And that's why she's played a big part where I am today.
Wow. Those are, I wasn't expecting those, but that's powerful, man. That's, I think that just gets me thinking about how significant what we do matters, based on our family and the people that are closest to us, that we could be their biggest heroes. We could be their biggest role models. Are we being intentional about that? So thanks for bringing that thought to mind. Here's a question that I came up with that is kind of my most favorite question I've been wanting to ask you is, if you could have dinner with 3 people that are alive today, who would they be and why? It's kind of a question I've asked myself. There's some people that I would love to sit down. So curious to hear, who would those be for you?
And when you sent me that, I'm going to shock the heck out of you this answer, okay? Because now I know the 3 people, if they're dead, 3 dead people, I know which 3 people they would be. Okay, those 3 people who would be passed away would be Jesus Christ, Muhammad, and Buddha, because their philosophy teaching have lasted through the 5,000 whatever years, thousands of years. But living wise, that means, right? These 3 people are very, very like the top people I look up to, right?
Right.
With it being inferred, and the answer would be no one. And it's because it's how you define success. And these are probably be the all-encompassing 3 most successful people. And one thing I've learned is that some people may be successful in one area, but not in the other. And when you asked me these 3 questions, my immediate, and actually I thought about this for it's been a couple of weeks since you sent me that question. Who's the people who are perfect? And there's no one's perfect, right? There's always some type of fault. And for my definition of success, it's not just about money. It's about marriage is very important. So I give an example. Like I shared this on my coaching call, and some people are shocked. Like Richard Branson. Richard Branson's very successful as a business person, but he's also, I think he had a previously failed marriage. So to me, Richard Branson is not a success, because to me, a happy marriage is just as important as even more important than making all this money in the world. Now, that's not to say Richard Branson is not a success. I highly respect him for what he's done in business. But overall, will he be one of the 3 people? He wouldn't be one of the 3 people because he's missing something that I really look up to. Does it make sense?
Yeah. No,
so it wouldn't be. I don't know who it would be. I wouldn't know. It would be a combination of someone who's had balance in personal life and in business, in impact and serving the ministry. And, it's almost like the more you get to know someone, everyone is screwed up. Everyone's got weaknesses. So to me, to limit to 3 people, it'll be no one.
Oh, all right, man. There you have it. So what about, let's say if you could kind of think back to being 16, if you could actually go meet your 16-year-old self, what type of advice would you give?
It's like to live, be yourself, choose yourself. At 16, I had low self-esteem. I always wanted to be someone else. I grew up, pretty predominantly Caucasian neighborhood, Asian. I speak funny, right? I hated my voice. I have kind of like a little Brooklyn accent. I have a Chinese accent. I have a lisp. I was self-conscious. I felt like I never had a girlfriend. I was awkward. I didn't know how to talk to people. I was just like, I wanted to fit in. And I would say to myself, Simon, don't fit in. Because if you fit in, you're going to be like the rest of the people, like kind of lemmings. They're going to go off the cliff. Be different. Be that purple cow. Embrace yourself. And at that time, Adam, a lot of times I remember one year, freshman year, at 14, I wasn't even happy. I was depressed because I wanted to be like these other kids. These kids were cooler. They had the girls. They could play sports better, all that. And I wasn't. I want to be like that. I want to be like in the cool group. And I would tell myself, forget that, Simon. Be yourself. Be unique. Embrace your uniqueness. You sound weird. You look different. Be unique. Embrace that. Don't fit in, because the ones who fit in become like everyone else. They're never successful. And this is kind of like a generality, but almost all the cool kids that were cool, they're not that cool when they're 30, 40, right? And I just recently found out someone that went to my high school is worth millions and millions of dollars. And I respect him, not just for the amount of money he's done. And I don't want to quote his net worth. It's probably over $50, $100 million. But the reason I respect him is not because of the money, but because of the spiritual and his wisdom. And to him, he doesn't even care about the money anymore. But he went to my high school. I couldn't believe it. We were in the same graduating class. And I was like, no way. Like, I looked him up on the Facebook. Of course, I didn't recognize him because he was the geekiest and nerdiest kid ever. Right? I didn't remember seeing him ever. When I was doing all this stuff trying to fit in, he was probably in the library studying. But, at his age, and it's incredible what he's accomplished, this guy. And another friend as well. And so I would just tell myself, don't try to fit in. Just embrace who you are. You're unique. God's giving you certain gifts just to make the best out of it. Don't be someone else, be yourself. And I'll give you an example is my voice. I used to hate my voice so much. Even when I did MLM, I hated it because I sound different. People look at me and say, you sound so weird. I just didn't like it. And I never thought I'd be doing a podcast, right? And it's funny because last year I was at MLM Mastermind at an event, generic training event, and I started speaking to someone in line. I was speaking there. I was actually in line for something. And someone was like, hey, you're the guy from MLM Nation. I never knew you were an Asian guy, but I just recognized that voice. And everyone looked at me. So it was like the thing that I hated the most, my voice, how it was different. Now people are attracted to that. It's like almost, it goes back to your weaknesses, the things you don't like becomes a better part of the story. So just my 16-year-old self, Simon, hey, don't fit in. Just do, all the stuff that makes you different, that makes you unique. Just go out there and make the best of it.
Yep. God made us all unique, so you might as well embrace it. Because if he wanted you to be somebody else, he would have done it. We're on the home stretch, so I just want to make sure you're doing okay. You need to drink some stale coffee.
I'm
okay?
good. I don't need the coffee. I'm going good.
Okay. So here's something that I want to address. Something that I believe does not serve our profession well and can sometimes creep in. When you hear a lot of success stories, like you listen to MLM Nation and you're hearing all these amazing $1 million and six-figure earners, the topic of comparison, that can creep in. Did you ever compare yourself to other leaders when you were, building? Maybe it was their income compared to yours. Maybe it was how they spoke, how they dressed. You just touched on a little bit of that. But how did you work through that? Because I want you to speak to the audience right now. I think that's one of the biggest cancers in our industry is comparison and people not embracing their uniqueness and not just letting their gifts shine. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a tough issue because in this business you need to give recognition, motivate people. But ultimately, it goes back to what I said about the 3 people having dinner with, or like, Dan Brink, when he shared with me about your why, you didn't join MLM to make more trophies and be on stage. What is your why, right? And your definition, everyone's definition of success is different. So don't compare. And I used to compare, we had this team, a really young team out in where I live. They were advancing way quicker than me. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm working my butt off. I'm sponsoring I sponsor 80 people. They sponsor 5 people. They're making just as much money. And they're doing the part-time. I'm doing full-time now, struggling and not getting there. Like, I want to be diamond. How come they're ruby quicker? And all that did was just made me frustrated. Understand everyone has their own journey. You're running, we're dealt with a different set of cards, right? If you have kids, it's going to be way difficult, more harder than someone not without kids, right? So the best you can do is look at the cards you have and you play your best hand. But you don't quit, right? You stay in the game. So for some people, it may mean $1 million. For my mentor, Dan, it was making 6 figures, passive income, and spending time with 6 kids. For some people, it may make 20. I just met a couple from MLM Nation, make $20,000 a year. But because of that, the wife doesn't need to work and she can homeschool her 4 kids. That's success. Everyone's definition of success is different. And just because someone's making more money, advancing quicker, doesn't mean they're better than you. In my company, the first major rank is this Gold Director rank, right? Gold Director is hitting 4th. I shared before. It took me a long time to get there. Hitting $4,000, $1,000 a week for 4 straight weeks. And it took me 2.5 years to get there. I went, and then the company does a special retreat for you. We went to Utah, went to horseback riding and all that really cool stuff. So there are people that were made in a couple of months. And I'm like, 2.5 years. And there's people who sponsored 10 people. And in a year and a half, they did it. I was like, well, I sponsored 100 people already. It took me, everyone quit. What the heck? But I'm telling you, out of that, it was 53 people in the room with 35 distributions, total of 53 people. That was the biggest class at the time in my company. Only 4 people became diamond director. I was one of the first, and I was actually the second fastest to become a diamond. Now, does that mean I'm better than everyone else? No, it doesn't. Some people may be advancing better than me. So I learned really quick. And by the way, some of those people quit the business. They quit. They made quick money fast, and then they had hard. It goes back to what I talked about. They become very successful fast, and boom, life hits them, all the stuff hits them. They can't recover. They don't know what to do, and they quit. Some of them, I don't even know what they're doing right now, right? They went to 2, 3, 4 other companies. They had quick success, and they quit. So your definition of success, don't compare yourself to others. As long as you're doing the business consistently and know your definition of success and keep going on the journey. As long as you're doing that, and even if you're stuck, I always talk about this, as long as you're going in the right direction, even if you're stuck, it's better than not going in any direction.
Yeah, that's a good word, man. Thank you for covering that, because I know there's a lot of distributors just kind of struggling with that right now. So how about a favorite success quote? You got one of those?
The temptation to quit is greatest when success is right around the corner. And I share that in Malaysia. I share that with everything else, and that comes from a Chinese proverb. And I also got that from Bob Parsons, who's founded GoDaddy. And that's a very inspiring story. You can look up how he almost quit before he made his millions and millions and millions. I'm going to give you one more quote. The temptation to quit is greatest when success is right around the corner. That's probably my best advice. But a quote that's really motivated me over the years is really not something from a book, but it's from a random video. And this comes from Rudy Tomjanovich. He was a former coach of the Houston Rockets. And they repeated as champions. I think it was 93, 94, and then repeated against the champions in 94, 95. And the second year, it was really tough. I think again, don't quote me on this. I don't remember my sports facts, but they start off the season bad, but they had like a really hot run towards the end. And then in the playoff, they found themselves, even though they weren't even supposed to make the playoffs, right? They were like kind of a bust. They were the champions the previous year, and maybe they got complacent and lazy. They barely made it to playoffs, only because they had a strong run towards the last 1 or 2 months of the season. And then they go into the playoffs, and they're facing one of the top teams. And, of course, they're like one of the lower seeds. And next thing you know, I forgot the team they were down, but they were down 3-1. And then, miraculously, they hit one, big shot after another, and they won that series. And then when they finally repeated as champions, and I saw this on a video, so it's not from a book. I remember he gave his little thank you speech on the stage, and he got the trophy. And he ended with this quote was, never, never underestimate the heart of a champion. And I just love that. Never, never underestimate the heart of a champion. And that just tells what success is. It's about desire, about mindset. And anytime I'm down, anytime when people are haters, anytime people doubt me, anytime people don't, I just say to myself, never, never underestimate the heart of a champion, because I'm going to go out there and prove it to you and show it to you that I'm going to make this happen. So there you go.
I've heard you quote that many times on some other episodes. How about a habit that helped you become successful? You've already talked about several. Is there anything else that comes to mind? Just
staying focused and not getting involved in too many things. Like I said, I'm really boring. I don't even, when I go out, I dress the same way. I could basically just copying what people do. Like Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, they dress the same way. I dress the same outfit. I bought 3 pairs of the same jeans, same sneakers, same suits, same shirt. So by the way, it's not because I don't do my laundry. If you ever see that, okay? That's a kind of disclaimer. Just keeping some simple and not getting involved with a lot of different things. Just, for example, social media, I'd rather be really, really, really good. And I've gotten really good on Facebook instead of doing all these other things like Periscope, LinkedIn, Instagram. Being really good with Facebook ads, all that. Even in my company back then, expanding to Malaysia, we put all our resources in. We went to the Philippines, just focusing on one thing at a time.
So that blue shirt you were wearing when we Skyped yesterday, you're not still wearing it from yesterday?
That is actually part of my new outfit when I am with the family.
Got it.
I have a family outfit and then like a business attire outfit.
I love it. Stay focused. I love the acronym for focus. Follow one course until successful.
Definitely.
So please write that down. How about a favorite prospecting tool? Maybe when you're in the business or now that you recommend to your coaching clients, is there anything particular, whether it's a video, a magazine, a flip chart? What do you like to recommend, and what helped you build back when you were building?
Use the tool that the prospect relates best to, that they can use. So if you are prospecting to Gen Y and the online videos, use that. If they if they don't know anything, like if you talk prospecting someone like my father, who doesn't even know how to use an iPad. Actually, he's just learned how to use an iPad, but he wouldn't know how to go to a webinar or link, right? You got to sit down with them, use a newspaper, flip chart. So do whatever tool that duplicates.
Gotcha. How about a favorite app? Anything like any online?
That's my question. It is Evernote. Okay, I know a lot of listeners said they got into Evernote. Evernote is awesome. It's like the digital Dropbox. I throw everything to Evernote. It's really been a big, big game changer, Evernote. And my Apple Pencil that came out. Now I use Apple Pencil with Evernote. Apple, Evernote with Apple Pencil. This is like do free network marketing promotion for Evernote. It's like you can write and Evernote will recognize your handwriting. As long as it's not too messy, you do a search. If I put Adam Carey on there and I just search Adam, it'll automatically pop up. They'll actually recognize my handwriting. That's how incredible it is. And the reason I love that is save time. I'm telling you, talk about you talk about productivity. I'm really aiming about time. There's another great tool. It's called the Evernote Scanner. You got to get this, Adam. It's like $500, but so worth it. Okay. And my business partner, actually, he's really good. He told me about this. It's like, I had like my assistant took manuals, for Hannah, you have like a car, the car seat, right? The manual, you get a bicycle. How many times have you been there? You want to set up something, or you need a manual, right? And you're looking online. Mm-hmm. I and my assistant scan everything using that scanner. It goes right into Evernote. So I could be in the middle of a park. I need something. I just pull my Evernote search. It's right there. Every takeout menu, seafood town, Chinese food, type in Chinese food. Every Chinese menu pops up. Everything is in Evernote.
Love it. Yeah, I was just going to tell the listeners, you better go get it because you're so excited. You wouldn't even let me get the question out first. What about one book? I know you're a reader. You listen to audio. What's one book that you would recommend to MLM Nation?
Well, the Bible is number one, but not counting the Bible would be. It's tough to say one book. So this is my show. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to give you a couple. The Think and Grow Rich. Okay, Think and Grow Rich, you may have to read it 10 times to really get it. The first 1-2 times, I didn't understand anything out of it. I got the audiobook. And don't get the abridged version, get the unabridged. That just listening over and over again. But as you grow, the more you listen to, the more you listen to it, you will find the wisdom out of it. And then I would say 2 other books would be How to Win Friends and Influence People. That totally changed my life. Okay, it's all about how.
Yeah, Dale Carnegie. Yeah,
Dale Carnegie, and then the last one would be. I just had a brain freeze here. Think and Grow Rich, Dale Carnegie. Oh, Your First Year in Network Marketing by Mark Yornell. I read that book in 2004. I know it's one of the most recommended books on MLM Nation. It's because that book taught me that you're going to get your butt kicked in your first year. So if you make any money, consider yourself lucky. So, I did make some money my first year. I said, well, I'm lucky because you're not supposed to. You're there to learn. Just do the business consistently. You learn. If you earn any money, it's a bonus. So that was a really good book. Some of it's dated, but still really good. Told me what to expect.
Awesome. So MLM Nation, you and I both know that audio is amazing, and you can go right now online and get a free audio book for free. Whether you want to get Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Your First Year in Network Marketing, all you got to do is go to MLMNationBook.com. That's MLMNationBook.com. Get your free audio, and you can start growing and learning, just like Simon has. Simon, I think we're winding down here, brother. We got the last question. Imagine that you were forced to start all over again, which would be, I don't think you'd want to do that, but if you had to, and you knew no one, and you had all your current knowledge, skills, and wisdom, what's the first thing that you would do if you had to go find prospects and build an MLM business from scratch?
I love it. The $1 million question. That's probably the number one question people are emailing me about. And I know Andy Jenkins, you've been on the show. You want to know what it is. It would be go out there and put myself in the community and provide value. There'll be 2 things. Number one would be like, so that's offline, right? I'll go to the gym. I'll join 2 gyms and I'll go at different hours, meet different people, smile, and just build relationships and not think about it. I teach this in my co-market recruiting course. There's 2 types of prospects, like the quick, direct approach, which is like you go to a Starbucks and it's like, actually, I don't drink coffee now. I can't use that. I go to Jamba Juice, right? I go to Jamba Juice to get a juice, like a smoothie. I say, hey, just out of curiosity, I'm expanding our business in the LA area. Would you know anyone that'll be interested in earning like $300 to $500 a month? I can ask that 10 times a day, 20 times a day at Whole Foods. Just ask that. 99% of people will say no. 1 of people will say yes. I go to restaurants. I'll say the same thing. So just in everyday living, everyday life, restaurants, eating, I'll do that. I can use a quick, direct approach. And then the slow harvest approach is putting yourself in situations where you see people repeatedly. And that's when you give value. So I would never prospect with someone immediately. If I go to the gym, I see someone, I'm going to go back to the same gym. I'm going to say hi. And next time I can say hi. After a couple of highs, say, what's your name? How you doing? And we can start community conversation. And I'll find ways just to be friends and take that offline. And maybe, actually, this is offline. I'll take them to go hang out. Let's go grab a drink someday, grab coffee someday, right? I do this all the time just to build, even though I don't build a business, but expanding my network. So where would I go? Gyms. I'll join a basketball. Do the things that you like to do. So what do I like to do? I like to go biking, join a cycling club. I like to go work out, like a gym. We talk about basketball. I joined 2 basketball leagues, right? I'd be involved in my church, in my community. I like to run, get into a running club. I'm an online marketer. I go to meetup.com, find an online marketing group. I go in there. Business entrepreneur group in the South Bay area in LA. I'll join that. Now, online, same thing through Facebook. I'll just update my profile, be providing value, share my niche is like, business, wisdom, life lessons, business coaching. I'll just share people tips, kind of exactly what I'm doing right now. And I also get into some online Facebook groups, get involved there, like especially online marketers, small business groups, and never prospect them, just providing value, liking, commenting, building relationships to the point then I can meet these people, whether it's through a Skype call or meet them for coffee. And then once the relationship is good, then I'll present to them.
Yeah, it's relationship marketing. That's another term for it. So you got to be relational. I want to combine a question, Simon, because you always ask your guests the best piece of advice, and then you have them share some advice. And so I figured the advice that you would want to share would probably be the best piece of advice you've ever received. So why don't you talk a little bit about that as we wrap up?
Best piece of advice is, this is my own show. I don't even know the best piece of advice. The best piece of advice would be to be different. Gosh, this is and don't edit this out. Keep this there because you actually got me on the spot.
Keeping it real.
Keep it real, right? Exactly. But number one, be the purple cow. Be different. Don't fall in and be like everyone else. As everyone else is doing, don't do it. Be different. Be unique. Okay, because people get attracted to you. If you're like everyone else, like cows, black and white, they get slaughtered. Purple cow, like, oh my goodness, it's purple. They'll put you in the museum. They'll put you in the zoo. People will worship you. Okay, be different. Okay, stand out. Be different. Don't talk about what everyone else is doing. But let me add one more, because you said the best advice, and I mean, being the purple cow is probably one of the best business advice. But in terms of life advice, and this goes back to Adam, you asked me the question of the 3 people I have dinner with. I'll say no one. So I'm going to give you some life advice. I think this is the best advice I ever got, was from an interview when I was working at the NBA. I looked at this interview that David Robinson did. And David Robinson is a former NBA great. I think he's a Hall of Famer. He played for the San Antonio Spurs. He's also what really respected me was he's a very godly man, and he had donated like $15 million to start this charter school in San Antonio. And so we sent the crew out there to do an interview, and I was actually in production cutting it up. And someone asked him, like, why did you do all this stuff? Why did you decide to do this, donate all this money? And so this is the best advice. Okay, he says, seconds before you're about to close your eyes and die in this world, what makes you happy is not the MVP trophies, my championship rings. What makes me going to die happy is my relationship with God and all the good I've done in this world. And when I heard that, I was young that time. I was like, wow, that really put things in perspective. Like all this stuff, you really think about this. And I read, Proverbs and Ecclesiastes in the Bible every morning. All the stuff we're doing, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? The money we make, the stuff, the toys, even this podcast over time, does it really matter? When it does it really matter? Seconds before I'm about to die, what makes me happy is my relationship with God, and also knowing the lives that I've touched. How many lives have I touched? Have I made a positive impact on this world? Have I left this world better than I came into? Have I been a taker, or have I been a giver back to this world? Because at the end of the day, all the money, all the toys, materialistic things, they mean nothing. Those are the 2 things, God and the amount of good I've done in this world. That is what matters, and that's what makes me happy. And as long as you're happy, you're successful, right? So I would say that would be the best advice I ever got. That's from David Robinson, from a tape, from an interview I saw. But back to business. And in terms of building network marketing business, is a temptation the temptation to quit is greatest when success is right around the corner. If MLM Nation, if you have not wanted to quit your business, okay, this is the real deal. If you never wanted to quit, you love it, I'm sorry, you just haven't worked hard enough. That you got to work it hard, like Adam, you shared it. Like you got to work it that to the point you hate it. Like this is not even working. I can't stand this business. Why is this? Hey, welcome. that's when you're close to success. And I guess my last words is like, really, it's people need mentors. There's a couple of things I actually wrote down. Is you need a mentor. A lot of times, the best mentors, you're going to grow out of your mentors. Like my first mentor, I grew out of him. Then I went to another mentor. And actually, if you look back through my business journey, the years where I kind of stagnated was when I outgrew a mentor, I didn't have another one. And you need different mentors in different parts of your life, not just in network marketing, but business, in life, or maybe raising kids, your spiritual mentor. You need different mentors. And a lot of times the best mentors are not your upline, because it doesn't necessarily be upline, but someone who is not vested in your success. So for example, when Dan shared that with me, his business has so much volume. The reason why is because sometimes, Adam, like I made this mistake too. Like sometimes you want to tell someone something, but you're afraid to tell it to them because you're afraid they're going to quit, right? And if they quit, that affects your income, right? So because of that, you don't really give the 100% advice that you should be giving. So your mentor cannot be someone's income that's affected by you. They get to a certain point is good, but sometimes, the truth is hard to take. Truth may get you angry. Truth may upset you. Truth may make you not want to do the business anymore. But you need to hear that truth. And anything that's sugar-coated is not the truth. So some of the best advice, like when Dan shared that with me, and like, hey, Simon, what's your exit strategy? If his income was relying on me, he wouldn't share that with me. He'd be stupid. I stopped building the business and his income's going to stop. But I was so deep in his business that whatever I did had no impact on him already. He had like millions and millions of points in his business. It didn't matter. So have a mentor that's not financially invested. It could be someone you hire out, or even some up line, or it could be a cross-line friend, cross-line leader that has no financially tied interest to your business. That's really important. In a journey, you want it hard, right? People say, network marketing is so hard. Hey, you want it hard. If you want it easy, welfare is easy, but it doesn't make any money. Okay? The reason when network marketing is awesome is because it is hard, because when you get to the top, you will get what no one else gets. And last, two other things. I just took my notes down. By the way, Adam, thank you so much for doing this. This has been a marathon episode, but I figured I had to get this.
I want to thank you for being on my show today. The MLM Nation, #1 rated MLM podcast on iTunes. I don't know if I want to give this back to you, man. It's been a good time.
Hey, by the way, MLM Nation, Adam and his wife are so cool. They're just not just the leaders, but they become friends, also spiritual mentors as well. Definitely check them out at Adam and Michelle Carey, or just put Adam Carey on Facebook, or check out the episode. They're a very good episode. And they also have a very good book, Don't Be That Guy in Network Marketing. So definitely check them out. I really appreciate it. This has been the longest episode. But the last two things, I always say two things, and this will be, is remember, like entrepreneurs, employees are overpaid at the beginning. And this is actually my pinned post on my fan page. Employees are overpaid in the beginning, but underpaid for the rest of their lives. While entrepreneurs are underpaid, but overpaid for the rest of their lives. And, when I first started at any job, you don't know what you're doing. You're getting a full salary. You are really, really overpaid, right? But then once you get it going, you'll be underpaid for the rest of your life. The other way is, as an entrepreneur, you get started, you're underpaid. When I had to talk to 42 people, I was underpaid. But now I don't do anything, get paid six figures. I'm the most overpaid for the rest of my life. Don't forget that. And then last thing is, make sure it's not about the money, it's about your purpose. Because if you're just chasing money or chasing rank, I'm telling you, you're going to get disappointed, very disappointed really quickly. And that's why you see people who are celebrities who make a lot of money, they get depressed, they lose the money, they do other crazy things. It's all about your values and your purpose. What is your purpose? And once you find this purpose, network marketing is an amazing and the best vehicle, whether it's going to help you get it or a stepping stone to allow your purpose-driven life. So, and MLM Nation, thank you for listening. It's a super long episode. I especially thank Adam for his patience, almost 2 hours here of just listening to me to talk. And remember, everyone, we're in the profession to help others. So go out there. And by the way, you know how to reach me. I don't need to tell you to go to MLMNation.net. You know how to find me. But my last words is, MLM Nation, remember, we're in the profession to help others. So go out there and have a positive impact on someone's life today. God bless you all.
There you have it. MLM Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But if you're intentional, I'm going to actually change that to you're the average of the 5 people you invest the most time with. And today you've been hanging out with Simon Chan. So keep up the momentum. Go to MLMNation.net. Type in Simon in the search bar. All the show notes will pop up, the books that he's recommended, all the nuggets, the takeaways. In order to be successful in network marketing, you must help others. So Simon, thanks again for sharing your valuable time. Thank you for trusting me enough to come in and host today's show and interview you. I've had a blast. And MLM Nation is definitely grateful for you, all the time, energy, and effort you put into hosting these shows. We appreciate you, and you're definitely having a positive impact on millions of distributors worldwide. Thank you, guys. God bless you all. Have a great day. Wow, MLM Nation, that was a powerful episode. I don't know about you, but I've got pages of notes from this show with Simon. And even though Simon and I have become friends over the last year or so, there's so much that was shared today that I didn't even know, like ideas and tips. And so I just hope you were intentional about taking notes and also implementing them into your business. For those that have not had a chance to meet Simon personally, I just want to let you know he is truly a leader that walks the walk, meaning he's the same off stage as he is on stage. The man is a giver of his money, of his time, of his talent, and my wife and I have have benefited from it. So Simon, I just want to thank you for pouring into us, for pouring into MLM Nation, for the thousands of people that you'll probably never meet. You truly are a giver, my friend, and I thank you for that generosity. So, some of the major takeaways that I got just from this couple hours with him is, just to be a doer. Simon is a man of action, and all successful leaders are. They don't think about it; they just do it, and it starts with stop talking about what you're going to do and just do what you're going to do. Show people. And if you want to become successful like Simon, one of the things he talked a lot about is you got to learn to focus on what you really, really want, but also focus on what truly matters. Simon is a master at tuning out distractions. I couldn't believe some of the stuff that he was sharing, but I bet if we all self-evaluated just our time, if we looked at the 24 hours in the day that we have, we would all find distractions that are keeping us from reaching our full potential. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 20 minutes there. And if we use that time to focus on money-making activities, man, our whole world would change, and we would be leading by example even more so. So I love the fact that he talked about the long term. The fact that when he got started in the business, he had a 5-year commitment to make 6 figures, and that's something that we should talk about, guys. Because if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Do you have goals? Do you have written goals? Are you disciplined with those goals? He talked a lot about focus, a lot about discipline. The fact of just being consistent, that right there is why, in my opinion, 99% of people fail in network marketing is just they're not consistent enough. That's why they don't get in shape. They're not consistent enough with eating right, working out, making calls. I mean, consistency, doing the grind day in and day out is what this is how this game is won. Being different, man. I love the fact that he talked about being unique, being different, dreaming big, and going fast. The testimonies that were shared today blew my mind. It got me thinking about just the power of one decision that we have if we say yes to an opportunity, and how it changes not only our lives, but it has the potential to change thousands or tens of thousands of lives. When he started to share about the guy in the Philippines that was making $200 to $300 a month, he said yes to an opportunity. Now he's made a couple $1 million in network marketing, and he's changing lives. What if Simon would have thought, I'm too good for network marketing. I've got a degree, and I've done this and I've done that. This is beneath me. This is for the broke, poor people. That's how he used to think. What if he wouldn't have said yes? I mean, he built an organization of over 70,000 distributors. Obviously, it was teamwork, but if he wouldn't have said yes, think about all the people that wouldn't have heard about our amazing profession. And so it's powerful to think, but it can have the opposite effect. If you quit your business, think about all those that you're not going to impact. There's people right now that are praying for an opportunity, and you get to be the answer to that prayer. So let's go out there. Let's get out of the way. Let's stop worrying about what people are going to think and offer a life-changing solution. They get to decide if they want to come along for the ride. There's no pressure. We're not out there to convince anybody. We're just out there to bring hope. We're out there to answer prayer. We're out there to steer them to life-changing services, products, and opportunity that builds wealth, that builds systems, that builds friendships, that builds memories, and it creates freedom. So guys, go out there, be different, be unique, take advantage of what you have your hands on, and never forget your why. That was probably the most powerful part of the whole meeting for me, was the conversation he had about, that the mentor had with him about never forgetting the why. If you're in this for time freedom to be with your kids, keep the main thing, and don't get caught up with the hype. Don't get caught up with the fame. Don't get caught up with the awards, because they never satisfy. And what we need to be focused on is our legacy that we're going to leave for our kids and our kids' kids. And it's all going to start with the decision of saying yes one time, to commit to your business, tune out all the distractions, and step into what God's called you to be. So guys, I encourage you to subscribe to this podcast, MLM Nation. Amazing content. Make sure to rate and review. That's how Simon stays ranked, and that's how the world hears about us. Reviews are huge. And go to the show notes page at mlmnation.net to get all the resources that Simon talked about. He's got great coaching, great materials that are available, and it's all made available for you. So again, it's mlmnation.net. My name is Adam Carey. It's been an honor to be the host of MLM Nation. I hope to get to meet you guys out there, traveling the world. I hope to bring value to you in this profession. And I just want to thank you for elevating our profession. And we'll go out there and crush it, guys. So God bless you. Look forward to meeting you real soon. We'll talk to you later.
All right, MLM Nation, there you have it. Whew, do I sound the same? I think I sound the same. Maybe I was talking a little bit faster and more energy back then. But that was an awesome episode. It was a lot of fun to do. So now you know a little bit of my background. And over the last 9 years, I think I should do another episode, talk about how things have changed in the last 9 years. That's an idea. And if you're all interested in it, let me know. I can do that maybe for our 10th year anniversary. We can do that. But anyway, I'm still going strong. It's been a ton of fun. I appreciate you for watching. Please subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. We're doing a lot of new stuff there. And follow us on social media. And if you like this, please leave us a review. And leave us a review on the archives. Go to MLM Nation archives. Go to that where it has all the oldies but goodies. I like to say all the legends out there. The Jordan Adlers, the Richard Bliss Brooke, Ray Higdon when he started in trading 9 years ago, Rob Sperry, Fraser Brooks, they're all in there. Go check that out and leave us a review as well. Anyway, I'm Simon Chan. I'm allowed and proud to be part of this amazing profession. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of MLM Nation. And now it's over to you. Make sure you go out there and apply what you learn and have a positive impact on someone's life. God bless you all.